Hello and happy New Year, Gamer Nation. Welcome to the first episode of the year for Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And of course, I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And after having nearly 2 weeks off it, with only one real show that we did I think it was last Friday, we did just for, I guess, no, it wasn't Friday, it was Thursday. Me and Zemi did an end of year Xbox discussion. This is the first show of the year for Double Barrel Gaming. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to hang out. If you are new to the program, I want to say welcome with open arms. This is a channel dedicated to talking about gaming in the best way possible. We do not do terror tactics. We do not do console war shenanigans. We talk it out, and we do support multiple consoles. This is a multi-plat kind of a platform, at least one of the shows that I do. And I am happy to say that we are looking to get more and more viewership this year than ever. And hopefully, if you are new, you enjoy the program enough to subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, hit the like button. And like we did last year, this particular chat is patrolled by several incredible members of the community who I trust. But the one that carries a very big stick but walks silently and is deadly is Lethal Papa, who's here in the chat. And folks, listen, last year, I think that I might have been a little loosey-goosey with allowing people to voice their opinion in a very negative way, upsetting many people in the chat. And I just want you to know in advance, if you are a troll or you're someone that's coming here looking for trouble, I just want to assure you that you are going to get banned. And if you are a particular a-hole who continues to come back after having 70 accounts banned, I don't know what his life is about, but apparently it's to make many people in this community lives miserable. You will continue to be banned. His name, of course, will not be uttered because he doesn't deserve it. But Lethal Papa has full authorization he's fair. Lethal Papa is trusted, and his decision is final. So if he bans you, understand that coming to me in a DM or emailing me on my business email is not going to change anything, because I trust him indubitably. Lethal, you know that we're best buds, brother. And if you ban him, well, it's because you thought that they were worthy of a ban. So let's just keep it fun. Let's keep it 100. And let's just talk about gaming. Now, before we get into talking about gaming, we are a few people short this evening. Clowns is not feeling well. He'll hopefully be back next week. Cybernox is running late. Obviously, real life has taken over, and we are still awaiting Forte. I'm waiting to see if Crispy Bomb might be able to join us. Hopefully he can. But we are going to introduce our first guest of the year, and that is Infinite AA. Welcome to the program, dude.
Hey everybody, it's nice to be here. Start off 2021 talking about games with all you, and let's get it started.
Well, it is great to have you. I know that you do a show with your brother, and that you guys are looking to come back at it strong in 2021. So we'll put that information in the chat. So if people want to look up your work and maybe subscribe to your channel, we can, certainly help you out with that. Next up, one of our regular members, founding fathers, if you will, the Tempest Son, the guy that will, in fact, shoot you in the face and laugh at you over the mic. Welcome to the program, dude.
Yes, I will do that. Watch out. Yeah, it's good to be here, man. New year. 2020 is behind us, so let's hope 2021 is much better.
Yeah, you know what? I look, I'll put it to this way. 2020 was for a lot of reasons one of a horrific years I don't think any of us will ever forget. But to be fair, with all of the bad, there was certainly a lot of good, especially in the gaming aspect. We saw the launch of not one, not two, but three consoles in the form of the PlayStation 5, both the physical and digital, and the Series X and S. We had a ton of games come out and surprise us, some more than others. Obviously, 2021 looks to be an even bigger year for gaming. And listen, I mean, it has to be better, right? It almost has to be better than last year. And I think that we are starting the year off on the right foot because in a couple of weeks, we are getting a big Xbox exclusive in the form of a horror title that we all cannot wait for, The Medium, which will be releasing towards the end of the month. And that is a big deal, not only for gamers, but Xbox gamers, because it is an exclusive. And I'm looking forward to that. And of course, next up, the loudest mouth from the south of Canada, the middle-aged gamer guy. What's going on, dude? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm excellent. Boom. Happy New Year, everyone. Chat panel, Infinite. Thanks for coming by and being our first guest of 2021. And yes, it is 2021. It's going to be a big year in gaming. It's going to be a big year for the mag. It's going to be a big year for Boom. And this show, Primetime Gaming, guys, it's going to be an awesome year. So you know what? Let's start it off right. Let's start it off positive. Let's start it off fun. And let's have a great show tonight.
And I think we're going to. Obviously, again, we're a few members short. I was hoping to get everyone here for the first show of the year. Obviously, that didn't happen, but hopefully we can make some positive changes in the near future and get everyone here for these shows. But you know what? Let's ease into the program as we welcome 150 people already here. I want to thank you. I want to wish everyone a very happy New Year. Hopefully, you had an amazing holiday season. And obviously, it was safe. That was the biggest thing, that you celebrated safely. No one got sick in your family, and of course, you are here. Like I said, if you're here and you made it to 2021, pat yourself on the ass because you made it, and that is a big deal considering, again, how terrible of a year for the world it was in 2020. But I want to open up with a particular topic. Now, again, we're gonna start small. We're gonna save the big one towards the end. Hopefully, we'll have some more people in the panel to talk about it. But one of the most played multiplayer titles on the Xbox 3 during the Xbox 360 era, not of course counting Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield, was undoubtedly Valve's Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. Now, developer Turtle Rock Studio, led by co-founder Phil Robb, has some pretty big ideas to move the genre forward and leave their original foundation in the rear view mirror. Now, of course, I'm talking about one of the biggest, most anticipated games of 2021, and that is Back 4 Blood. Now, they put out an interview video that I found at DualShockers.com. And you know what? Not only was it interesting, but I obviously was moved in a way where my hype meter broke through the actual meter, going from 1 to 10 to 1,000, because quite frankly, I may not play many online games, but during the 360 era, I used to play Left 4 Dead like crazy because it was an addictive kind of a game. It just 1 and 2 were just masterpieces, and it is a bit still of a head scratcher. Why, as of this show, Valve has not moved forward with bringing us Left 4 Dead 3? Well, thanks to developer Turtle Rock Studios, they are bringing the spiritual successor in the form of Back 4 Blood. And to balance out the title, it has not only stronger enemies, the game mimics very similar to Left 4 Dead zombie system, which includes both common and mutated zombies. However, there's a wider variety of undead in Back 4 Blood. Besides the Boomer, Hunter, and Charger clones, the game also has a monster, massive mutated zombie called the Ogre. And if you watch the video, which I'll have in the show notes where you can come check it out, from Dual Shockers, he is as big as a building. It is unbelievable how big he is. And I got to tell you, man, this game looks next gen. Like, I know that, we've only seen the trailer. but my God, it looks good. Infinite AA, let's go to you first on this. How big of a fan were you of Valve's Left 4 Dead?
Well, I played Left 4 Dead 1 and I didn't play Left 4 Dead 2, but I had a lot of fun with it, and Back 4 Blood looks way good.
Yeah, I sent you the video, and we've been talking in the DM. What were your thoughts on how fast the gameplay looked?
Well, it looks like a successor to Left 4 Dead, but obviously it's not got the name. Same studio and everything, Turtle Rock Studio, pushing the genre forward. They just want to make another co-op multiplayer zombie survival. It looks really fast paced, and one of the things that interested me the most actually was that you're either immune or these people have been there for a year. So when I first watched the trailer at the Game Awards, I was like, these people look really confident being in this type of world, right? But after watching that developer interview, I was like, that makes sense. They've been here for a whole year, and some of them are immune, so they would be confident. And they don't find safe places; they make safe places.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That is a great point. One of the things that the developer wants to portray onto us as the gamers is that these guys and gals that we're going to be using in the Back 4 Blood are badasses. There's no doubt about it, and they just have a tenacity to them when they're out in the field, and it looks like it's going to be a game that is going to be talked about at the end of the year. Now, granted, this is, we're only going based on the video that we saw, but I got to tell you, folks, if you enjoyed Left 4 Dead, my goodness, this looks like it's going to be something that all of us not only playing, but potentially talking about game of the year at the end of the 2021. Let's get to Tempest Son. Now, Tempest, you are notoriously someone that enjoys not only shooters, but online play. And I think that nothing screamed more online team play than Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. It's a game, it's a franchise that people have been clamoring for. I've seen many, many threads on numerous forums about how people are basically begging Valve to release it, and they never did. Much like many things in Valve's IP lineup, they just don't know how to count to 3 for some reason.
That's true.
And Turtle Rock seems to have really hunkered down. And again, with this particular video, what I found to be most exciting is hearing their excitement. Like, they want to be there. They want to make this game. And with that kind of passion for the type of genre that Left 4 Dead was and what Back 4 Blood is going to be, it gets me excited because I know they're going to put their best foot forward. What are your thoughts of the video that I sent in the DM?
Well, I watched even more. There's a YouTuber that I actually really enjoy. His name is Jack Frags. I don't know if you've seen his content. He doesn't need a plug from me. He has like 2 million subscribers or whatever. But
yeah, I've watched
he has like an hour's worth of just raw gameplay of him and his buddies playing, and this game is literally Left 4 Dead 3. I'm sorry, it is what it is. It's Left 4 Dead 3.
No, absolutely.
There's
no doubt about it.
Yeah, and all but name. I mean, it is literally just a modern take on their own game. It looks fantastic. Listen, so many people want this game, want an actual Left 4 Dead 3, that they actually allowed some, I guess, modders and members of the community, Valve did, to push out like an official patch. So it was actually Left 4 Dead 2 was recently patched by like pretty much the community, but I think it was made official, like it is an actual patch that they rolled out to the game client itself. There's still a ton of people playing that, somewhat due to mods, but just because it's a type of genre. I don't know if they were the first ones to do that, Left 4 Dead 1, but I tell you, it's kind of perfected. By the time 2 came around, they pretty much perfected their own genre, if you will. And there is many games like this. Like, if you don't want to wait for this and this game tickles your fancy, I'd strongly recommend going out and playing World War Z. That's a third person, which I actually prefer third person games anyways, but there's a third person game just like this. It's a little different, but there's many games like this. Killing Floor 2 is a first person game, like this. There's many games of this genre that have tried to capture what Left 4 Dead 2 had, and some of them to a pretty good success, but there was just a certain magic that Left 4 Dead had, and it's something that nobody has really been able to replicate yet, and hopefully they do it here. It's hard to describe what it is. It's almost like a tempo that the game has that just keeps you wanting to play it. The biggest thing for me, though, is it's got to be brutally difficult. There's got to be a reason why you play one of 5 stages or one of 6 or 7 stages over and over again. You want to work your way up to that point to where you can take a team through and actually complete the level, because it is so difficult. That's kind of the point of these games to me. And from watching Jack Fragg's gameplay, Jack Fragg's the one thing I say about that dude. He's a beast of a man. He makes me look like a puppy dog when it comes to like assassinating people on online games. He's a beast, and he was getting clobbered. So, if it's nice and difficult, then, count me in. I'll play it for sure. I have a question. This I don't know. Is it it's coming to console, Boom?
Oh, yes. No, as a matter of fact, the release date for console is June 22nd, 2021. So, yes, right after E3 or, supposed E3 of 2021, we're going to get this game. Yeah.
Okay. And the good news is it's in June. So they have 6 months to play with this new hardware. So PS5 included, but I especially hope that the Series X version is just singing silky smooth 60, maybe 120 mode, and going from there. So no, it's exciting stuff, and it looks really good. It does look really good. So these guys know what they're doing, man.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. Again, you have to look at their prior work. I think that's the best way we can, I guess, temper or justify our excitement for a particular franchise coming back under a different banner. Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 are not only, and again, it was during the Xbox 360 days of glory, in my opinion. This when those 2 games were out, Microsoft were doing things with second and third party that they seem to be returning to. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in this particular year as well. And when I say the glory days, I'm talking about exclusives. It's something that when you talk about exclusives, and I'm not talking about first party. First party, we're going to be talking about that on Friday morning's Breakfast at Boom, about how the turnaround for Microsoft's first party is coming. And that if you see me already starting the advertising for that particular show, it is a monster panel, one of the biggest panels I've ever put together. But the clientele, the community members that are going to be joining us are just all superstars, and that is one of the big topics of the show. But I'm talking about the second and third party deals that we saw Sony run away this generation with. Microsoft pretty much wrote the book, and Sony snatched pages out of Microsoft's book going into the PS4 era. And I'm hoping that they go back to, and I'm talking about Microsoft, go back to those glory days. But speaking of glory days, when you look back and you see some of the highlight titles, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 are on top of that list, and many people will agree. Now, sure, there's going to be people that are going to disagree and say, maybe, boom, it's just not my bag, and I hear you. But man, Back 4 Blood looks insane. Now, middle-aged gamer guy, I want to go to you next on this, because you are someone not only that appreciates a good first-person shooter, you like horror, and you enjoy a zombie first-person shooter. And quite frankly, Back 4 Blood is going to give us all of that in spades. What were your thoughts on the passion shown through this vid doc for the developer Turtle Rock Studios?
Well, I got to tell you, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, I really, really enjoyed those games. First of all, I didn't even know about the game when it first came out. I just kind of stumbled on it, And I'm like, what is this? So I ended up like picking it up. I didn't get any hype about it or anything. I didn't see anything about it at that time. I mean, keep in mind, this is like what, 14 years ago or 13 years ago, whatever it was. And I started playing it and I'm like, this is magnificent. So I was really enjoying it. Yes, I'm a zombie guy, love zombie games. First person shooters, not so much on the ranked Call of Duty stuff. Like, take it easy. Those guys are like way too ADHD for me. But anyways, the point is, really enjoyed those games. And I liked part 2 as well. I thought they were fantastic. And then, when you get to squad up with people that and stuff like that, it added that whole camaraderie, and it really gave you that feel of survival. Like, you really had to survive. Like, come on, guys, we got to live. Like drag Charlie or whatever the hell you're going to do. You had to do all these things. It was fantastic. Now, this comes along, Back for Blood. By the way, like I keep almost saying Back in Black. Like I just got that old school rock and roll thing in my head. I keep saying Back in Black when I'm talking to people. It's Back for Blood. Point is, the developers talking about it. Man, do these guys seem more passionate than I do. Like, I'm sitting here talking about it. I'm excited. I'm getting elevated, this and that, whatever. These guys are so pumped to release this game. You could feel like that energy about them. There's no trepidation. There's no fear. They're not like, oh my God, is this game going to suck? They're not doing that at all. They're just like, get it out there. I want people playing this game. And just like Tempest said, Jack Frags, I watched that video, by the way, and it was amazing. And I was watching, I'm like, wow, they gave him a lot to work with. And you got to keep in mind, this game's not coming out for another 6 months. So the fact that they gave him such an early build, and by the way, that's an alpha build, and it looks incredible already. Can you imagine another 6 months of polish and another 6 months with the PS5 dev kit and another 6 months with the Series X, Series S dev kits? This game is going to be beautiful to look at. Now, from what I saw in the videos, fast-paced, yes. I hope it's not too hard. Okay, I don't know what Tempest is going on about. He goes, I want it really hard. I just want to be able to finish the game too, Tempest. I don't want to die every 3 seconds. Otherwise, you're going to be the one reviving me.
I love it. That's what normal mode's for, bro.
Well, my God, yeah, I guess I'm a fraud at 45. Anyway, let me tell you something. The gore looked magnificent.
It really did. It looked, and what's crazy, you really hit on a point for a second. Let me just stop you there, because folks, what we are seeing is what he just said. This is the pre-alpha build. Yes. And they have been playing this for over a year, and they're playing it every day. Could you imagine what the final product is going to look like running on your Series X?
Exactly. And like I said, they're playing, and the fact that they're confident enough to hand out an alpha build and put it on YouTube and
it's crazy. It's crazy.
To give it to a 2 million subscriber, 2.2, 2.8 million subscriber like Jack Frags, and be like, yeah, play the hell out of this. Show the world. That's not even just confidence. That's steel balls is what that is.
How long do you think they've been making it?
Well,
I think they've been at this for a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken. I know that they've been like nose to the grindstone for over a year, but this has got to. I mean, it looks too good not to suggest that they've been working on this for multiple years.
Right.
I agree.
So back to the gore, by the way, I'm just going to get this out of my system here. That gore looked magnificent. Some of the effects there, like especially when you shoot, like there's like a zombie on the wall or near the wall, and you just rail into him, and you just see the blood splatter just take the whole side of the wall, bodies piled on the ground, that kind of thing. And I was like, wow, this is something. It's pretty overwhelming, but it's pretty magnificent. Now, I also played World War Z, and I thought it was okay. I'm not gonna lie. It didn't change my life. Okay. It didn't do anything like that. I played it. I enjoyed it. I'm like, all right, this is cool. It's pretty cool. It's all right. But after a while, I found it to get very tiresome. And I really hope that whatever these guys throw at this game, they can throw a little bit of diversity into it, so that, like maybe like change up the maps a little bit and, stuff like that, whatever, something to make it, to give it longevity, maybe some DLC maps for free, hopefully, or something, right? So that we can keep this game going, because I found that after I was playing World War Z for a while, yes, I know World War Z added stuff later on and they added DLC later on, but by that point, I didn't care anymore. It fell off the map for me. I found it to be a little bit janky sometimes, especially like the third-person view. And yes, I enjoy third-person gaming, but for some reason that one seemed a little bit AA janky, and I mean, I know it's a AA game. This does not look like that. This looks like a top-notch Call of Duty with zombie. I mean, okay, I know that sounds really ridiculous because there is zombies in Call of Duty, but I'm saying it's like a zombie game with a Call of Duty sort of mechanics to it, and that kind of the newer engine. It seems like that kind of thing. So this is a AAA product. This is not going to be a AA $50 or $40 game, a $40 game, that kind of thing. This seems like it's going to be the real deal. So, but anyways, we're going to have to wait and see. But what I've seen so far, I got to say, I'm seriously impressed.
Yeah, you know what? And I agree with you. I think there is really a lot to get excited about, to be honest with you. And quite frankly, if you are a fan of the original game, meaning if you're a fan of Left 4 Dead, I think that this is the sequel that we have been waiting for. And again, I think it's better for Turtle Rock that they weren't hanging around waiting for Valve to make a move, that they just had the gumption enough and the dedication to the craft to say, you know what? Because we heard about Back 4 Blood is going to be when did we hear about this? I think we might have heard about Back 4 Blood maybe about a year ago. And
last year.
Yeah, I think it was about last year we heard it. We didn't hear much. We're like, oh wow, Turtle Rock Studios, holy shit, they're doing a Back 4 Blood, spiritual successor. I'm hoping that this takes off for them the way that Left 4 Dead did, where Left 4 Dead is no longer a discussion. And I'm not saying that we should discount what Valve, had them do, but it's an old franchise on a generation that's two generations reserved. And I think that just based on what we've seen so far, I honestly think that we are going to not only get the product that we've all wanted, but I think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get a product in Back 4 Blood that the team at Turtle Rock really wants to deliver on. And again, if the pre-alpha is any indication of what it is going to be like, my God, the final product that we're going to be playing in June is going to be, again, one of those conversations that towards the end of the year, when we're talking about our game of the year, this could potentially be in someone's top 10, top 5, top 3, maybe even their game of the year. But you know what? Real quick, anybody want to add anything before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I do. Like I said, this is a genre that they ushered into the.
Well, they created this genre, and other people have copied their
right. I will say this though, I feel like they're going to have competition this year. An Xbox exclusive is the Warhammer game.
Yes.
If anybody has played Fat Shark, they made Vermintide and Vermintide 2. Phenomenal. Dare say they get really dang close to these guys and their formula and what they do with their game. Phenomenal. But it was a melee focused, dwarves, elves, and you're killing something called Skaven, which are giant rats, right? Well, this time around you're in like it's like a sci-fi setting where you're shooting aliens, creatures, whatever, but it's more of like a gunplay. In Fat Shark, they punch way above their weight. And they sell their games for like $30 brand new. I think 30 or $40 brand new. They don't even charge full price, but they give you a AAA experience. So I'm actually going to enjoy seeing these two duke it out, because one is the tried and true, just zombies and your people, trying to fight the apocalypse, and the other one is going to be a sci-fi setting. But hey, man, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I think. Oh, sorry.
No, come on in. Talk about it.
I think replayability is one of the biggest things with both those games. You got to have a good loop and different scenarios popping up constantly. Like Left 4 Dead 2 especially had good scenarios and replayability. Bring your friends in. Nothing's ever the same as it was the first time you played it.
Yeah, and something in that video. Which again, I will add to the show notes once this uploads to YouTube when we're done. That was one of their biggest takeaways was that exact point. Replayability and how important it is to them to make sure that if you are replaying map whatever, they want you to have just as much fun the first time you played it, to match the 100th time you played it. And I think that it's that passion that we saw in this video, that you see in the work that they're doing in a pre-alpha version, by the way, that once again we get this finished product at the middle of the year. It is going to be something that I think we're all going to be playing, and it's something that I know Noof Nukem, who's a big a friend of the show, is someone that is going to be using that as a template for his community night, hangout sessions that he does, which is just fantastic. As a matter of fact, Noof Nukem will be joining us on Friday mornings, Breakfast with Boom. But before we get into the next topic, I have to thank 3 spectacular gentlemen that have supported Double Barrel Gaming since its inception. Sir X-Man drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Happy New Year's, everyone, and let's still be safe in 2021. Still keep wearing our masks, and for you and your family's sake." And dude, kudos to you for saying it, because sometimes people are dense and they don't want to get it. Wear your mask, wash your hands, be safe, don't take chances, and keep your distance, folks. This is not over yet. It will be soon, but if you want to be around for your loved ones, be smart. The next one comes from a very generous friend of the show. Black Eye Dog drops a very generous $5 super sticker. Thanks for being here, dude. Super appreciate it. And our very good friend Bounty Boom drops a $2 super sticker. Thanks so much for being here. Now, listen, folks, before I get into the next topic, I kind of want to share something with you. Now, again, I am a very transparent kind of a person. I think that I think that's relevant and clear, the way I handle my business. I talk about a lot about my personal life, and I think that for me, being transparent is really what makes me, I think, much different than just the next podcaster. I enjoy talking about my relationship with Mrs. Boom, sharing our stories, our successes, our failures. But one of the things that I do want to share is at the end of the year, as a content creator, you get usually like a breakdown of what you have done as a so-called content creator. Now, again, folks, this is a very small channel. I've only been doing this for 3 years as of November 3rd. And you try things, some things, or you succeed, and you try others, and a lot more so than not, things fail. In 2020, I saw a spike in everything that I never thought possible. Just to give you a quick breakdown, and of course, I'm saying this because I want to thank everybody that's listening. The fact that I have 7,000 subs, the fact that I have 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 people tune into these live shows, considering the size of the channel, is always pinch my own skin worthy. Again, I'm always going to be humbled by the success, whether that's 7,000 subs or 7 million subs, which I'll never get, but who knows, right? I got almost 4,100 new subs in 2020. Like, that is bananas.
Very nice.
And of course, over 500,000 hours of viewing time over the course of the 12 months of 2020. And that's thanks to you guys and gals for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. And, again, when you compare me to some of the other big guys, it's not a lot, but I wanted to share that because I wanted to say from my heart, thank you so much for taking the time to support Double Barrel Gaming, to be here each and every week that we do a live show. And listen, I'm closing in on 2 million views since the channel's inception. That is insane. I am closing in on hopefully we can hit that 10,000. That's one of the next big milestones. Folks, if you're new, please consider subscribing. This kind of content, and I mean good content, you're going to get every week. I do lots of live content. This week is 4 live pieces of content, and they're all going to be 2-hour plus shows to give you lots to listen to if you enjoy talking about and listening to gaming. But I do want to move on to the next topic. And this one is, again, you saw from the thumbnail, it has Miles Morales holding the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 with a bloody hands, saying the sales of the game. And that's what we're going to get into right now, because look, if there's one thing you've heard me talk very openly about, is how not only was Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man in 2018, one of my favorite games of the year. Wasn't my game of the year. It should have been, but there was just so many great titles. It was in my top 5. As of this show, it is the #1 selling PlayStation 4 game of all time, crossing the 20 million copies sold across 115 plus million consoles. Now, when you compare millions of consoles sold versus 20 million, some people will argue and say, well, that's not a lot, Boom, because there's still so much left on the table. But that doesn't really tell the full tale. 20 million of anything is a big deal. But why I decided to talk about this is because I started reading different websites talking about the sales numbers of Miles Morales, which was a PlayStation 5 launch game. And of course, it launched on the PlayStation 4 the day that its PS5 brethren released. And as of this show, it sold slightly above 600,000 copies. And folks, I got to be honest with you, I kind of want to talk about why that is. Now, obviously, I think one of the biggest culprits, and I suppose if you are a diehard Sony fan and you want to blame someone, I think you have to blame Sony here. Their mixed messaging with Jim Ryan talking about generations prior to the consoles launching, I think hurt this game. I don't think that because some people, again, we do a lot of these shows. We hear what the people are saying. People consider this, just a DLC, big deal, 7 to 10 hours, and I'm putting it away. I mean, yeah, I suppose you can consider it a DLC, but I personally wouldn't. I think that this game is gorgeous. I've only got a couple of hours into it because, obviously, Immortals, Phoenix Rising has stolen my life. I'm closing in on 70 hours of that game, and I just cannot stop playing it. And as soon as I'm done with it, I'm definitely jumping into Spider-Man Miles Morales because, again, graphically, it's what we got in 2018, just looks a lot better. It's Miles Morales, a character that I think this world is looking to use. Obviously, everybody wants to use Spider-Man, but Miles Morales is another form of Spider-Man. And if you watch the movie The Spider-Verse, you can't argue that he's charismatic and he has a lot to offer if you are an MCU fan. But getting back to Jim Ryan, I think that his, and I said it before, his mismessaging or mixed messaging, I should say, it really hurt this game. Because Demon's Souls wasn't exclusive for the PlayStation 5. I don't know why it was only there. They could have released it on the PlayStation 4. Graphically, it is beautiful, but we've seen what the PlayStation 4 could have done. And I look, I'll say this, and this is just my personal opinion on this. I have a very strong suspicion that this was meant to release in 2019. On the PlayStation 4 as DLC. I really do mean that. I think that this was going to happen. Now, whether it was going to be a $30 piece of DLC or a $40 piece of DLC like Lost Legacy was for the Uncharted series, I don't know. I think that when you look at, even though Sony's PlayStation 5 launch I thought was a very good launch. I mean, Astrobot is fantastic. Sackboy, maybe not everyone's game. I like it because I like platformers. You had Demon's Souls, of course, and of course Miles Morales. Miles Morales was supposed to be the headliner. Miles Morales was supposed to be the reason why you were buying a PlayStation 5. and at only 600,000 copies sold, I'm still scratching my head as to why that is. I'm going to go first to Mag on this. Mag, you and I, we've talked about this before, and this is a bit of a head scratcher. Now, obviously, the MCU is and has been hitting its stride for years. Spider-Man, some people may say that it's not as good as the Arkham series. That's their opinion. It's certainly not mine. I love those games, but I thought Spider-Man and Insomniac Games did it better. That's just my opinion. And I loved everything about Spider-Man 2018. I'm absolutely in love with what they did with Miles Morales. But why do you think the numbers are so low on a Sony exclusive? Now, granted, if you told me that they only sold 600,000 copies because it was only available on the PlayStation 4, I would say, well, I mean, that's obvious. You can't find a PlayStation 5. But that is not the truth. This launched on the PlayStation 4 the same day. Why didn't the public take to this title?
I think you nailed it already earlier, Boom, is that it's mixed messaging, and it's something that Sony's been doing all year, and I've not been a fan of. I'll say it once again. Love PlayStation. I hate Sony. And the thing is, they should have put duct tape over Jim Ryan's mouth way back in March, and maybe like put a little slit in there so he could breathe. And then that's about it, because he shouldn't have spoken for the last 9 months. And I'll tell you, I can pin that 600,000 sales units on him directly, because what they did, and I know that now, keep in mind, he also said this earlier in the year. What did he say in one of his press conferences or little interviews or whatever? He said, I want the PlayStation 5 to be the fastest selling console that we've ever had.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So he did say that. Now, that being said, what ended up happening was they marketed Miles Morales, and then, of course, that the baloney that they did, the whole thing about only with the power of the PS5, right? It was Miles Morales. That was one of it.
Yes, you know what? That's a great point. You're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what they said. And you know something? Yep. Hold on just a second. We can't just turn the whole spotlight on to Jim Ryan, because Insomniac Games said, and I quote, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm going to use my brain, which isn't big, but I'm going to try and use it anyway. I think the quote went something to the effect of, Spider-Man Miles Morales was built from the ground up with the PlayStation 5 in mind.
That's right. I remember that quote. Yeah, it was something like that. Very similar. But I remember one of the ones that you did nail exactly word for word was with the PlayStation 5 in mind. So when you release something like that, and then you've got Jim Ryan talking about what he's talking about, and then when you had their little show, the reveal show, only with the power of the PS5, and boom, they got Miles Morales. Well, you just drilled it into people's heads that it's coming out on the PS5. Now, if you look at this from two angles here, you could look at it from one angle saying, okay, they want to push PS5s. I get it. Okay, so you want people to buy PS5s. You didn't have enough. So why are you pushing a product that you didn't have?
Yeah, it's true.
And you knew you didn't have them. It's not like they found out the day before. It's not like the guys at the Sony headquarters go, yeah, Jim, listen, remember when you said, remember I told you we were going to have like 10 million units? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, we only have like 2. And we're releasing in 12 hours. Like, they didn't do that. They knew that they didn't have the units. So why wouldn't you? And then, of course, what they did right after that show, they, only with the power of the PS5. And then directly after the show, they went, oh, and it's also coming up for the PS4. Right?
Yes, yes.
Say that a little louder. And they're like, oh, it's coming up for the PS4. And they're like, oh, it's coming out with a PS4. Well, why didn't you market that a little bit better when you knew you didn't have the units to sell to the world? Okay, well, they sold a couple of million at least. Now I think it's like 2 or 3 million from the rumors anyway. That's really good, really good. But the thing is, you're not going to sell. The attach rate, okay, is actually on par, because if you think about it, when the Spider-Man PS4 came out, the 2018 one, magnificent game by the way, but when that came out, what was the attach rate? Sure, you sold 20 million, but you had 100 million in, consoles in the wild. So you only had about 20%.
Yeah.
Right? So you flip it around, actually. If you think about it, 600,000, 3 million, it's actually a little bit better than that. It's about 30%, give or take. Okay, we're just going off of, imaginary numbers in the air, but that's about on par. with the attach rate of the new console. Okay, so you're talking about 20 to 30% attach rate on exclusives. Great, that's fine. But the thing is, you should have pushed harder on the PS4 marketing. But I understand what they're doing because I think they realize they put their foot in their mouth with that whole only with the power, only with this, only with that, only with the PS5. But you know what? They should have just taken the L and just say, listen, guys, it's coming out on both, and then push hard on the PS4 marketing. Because the thing is, if you think about this, look at our community right now, us in the panel, the people in the chat, the people that are going to listen to this on YouTube tomorrow or the rest of the week. Please leave nice comments. And anyways, the point is that those people are in tune with what's going on. The other 80% has no idea what the hell we're talking about. They don't know what's going on. They buy Call of Duty. They buy Madden.
Yeah.
You know, like Mooch always says, Madden, Call of Duty, and then once in a while they see a superhero game, they'll buy that for their kids. Okay, and that's why those games are successful. Or the fact that Spider-Man is the most, next to Batman, maybe, would be the most marketable name in the world when it comes to superheroes. So with all those things on your side, they should have pushed it more towards the PS4 in terms of you know what I mean? To get the PS4 community that are already out there, get them on board, and you would have increased your sales. The sales may increase now, but the thing is, like I said, they painted themselves in the corner by pushing that it was for the PS5. The PS5s have not been as available as we would have liked, and especially for all the people who didn't get one. You know, and that's the way it's going to go. I mean, what are you going to do now? Like now, you're going to make up some off the back end, maybe. But I think at this rate, if they don't pick up sales in the next 6 months, when consoles really start to become 6 to 8 months, when consoles really start to become commonplace, where you can actually get them in a store and not have to like fight bots online, then if the sales don't pick up, then you got to move on to the next thing, and then move on to the next thing would be to put it in PS Plus. Okay, put it with your greatest hits in there, and maybe try to get a few more subscriptions out of that. You know what I mean? Try to make it up off the back end a little bit. That's the way I see it. As for the game itself, I just want to get this in here quick, is that, yeah, okay, it's a shorter. The other thing, actually, this is actually another negative. Here in Canada, okay, I know our dollar's different, okay, in terms of value and amount. But Miles Morales right now, I just checked it earlier today, it's $80. That doesn't include, that does not include the Spider-Man 2018, remaster. It's $80 here. If you want the Spider-Man 2018 remaster bundled in, it's $100 plus tax.
Holy cow, dude!
Now you're talking. Now our tax up here, because of our healthcare system, or free air quotes again, free healthcare, is that it's $115 to $116 for that game. Okay, that's with tax. That's another reason why you're not selling a lot. Now, the other thing is, if you think about it, okay, I've heard some people say it's a 5-hour campaign. I haven't dug deep into it because I've been playing a lot of other things. I got my platinum on Astrobot, and then I went back to Xbox to play Cyberpunk. Magnificent game, by the way. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Anyways,
that's my boy. Yes, I agree.
So, anyways, the point is that some people are going, it's 5 to 7 hours. Okay, fine. And some people are saying, well, the platinum, it's about 20 plus hours if you go after everything. Great, that's fine. And then people will pay, and then they'll say, well, what's the difference between that and Call of Duty? Well, Call of Duty is a 5 to 6 hour campaign. You're spending $80 for that. However, you're getting a multiplayer in there, and that multiplayer could carry you for an entire year, right? On top of that, never mind the season passes, baloney, and all that stuff. I'm just talking like the base game. You could still play all those multiplayer modes and everything else without having to buy into any of the extra stuff and the pink camouflage guns. Okay, so you could play that game for a whole year for that price. Once you're done with Miles Morales, you're done. What are you going to do? You're going to, if you 100% of this, you platinum this, are you just going to swing around for no reason? Like, you're not going to, so I could see that could be another angle. That's not my angle. I'm just presenting what maybe people are thinking out there, saying, whatever. What they should have done is they should have priced this like a Uncharted Lost Legacy. They should have priced this like Gears 5 Hive Busters. Okay, should have been half price.
Yeah.
And then you would have sold a bucket load. Okay, you would have sold a ton of these. And that's what I see with this whole situation. I think they bungled it on a lot of different areas. Like I was going to buy Demon Souls this week. There's another thing. There's a problem I'm having with PlayStation right now. They make magnificent games. There's no question. I was going to buy Demon Souls, but it's $100.
Yeah.
I'm not spending $100 for something I may or may not like. Like, come on, guys, make it a little bit more accessible, especially considering your competition is throwing everything in Game Pass. Well, eventually, when we start getting those AAA titles, they're all going in Game Pass. Medium in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So this is the problem. This is what happened. This is what I think is what happened with Miles Morales. I think it's a shame because from what I played, I only played about an hour, but from what I played, it's magnificent. It's got a lot of pizzazz. It's got a lot of character. It's got a lot of charm. And not that many people are playing it. And I think it's because of all those reasons I said. But anyways, that's my piece.
And you know something, you can't argue that. I know I've seen some people on social media saying that it's because Peter Parker's not there. And I would disagree. I think that if a game is good, a Spider-Man game, whether it be with Spider-Gwen, whether it be with you using Venom, whether it be you using Miles Morales, or of course Peter Parker, I think that you're going to sell copies. Though I do say the mixed messaging, the pricing of the game, those are all major factors. As a matter of fact, I see some people in the chat, and of course I'm not calling anybody out in particular, saying that a lot of the so-called Sony crowd that are the loudest in the community, not the toxic people, but the loudest talking about their exclusives, really don't buy exclusives. And when they buy them, they don't play them. I mean, like, for instance, I have a PlayStation 5 and supported PlayStation 4 for its exclusives. I don't play third-party stuff on there. Have I? Sure, but that's not why I own the console. My Xbox is where I play all third, second, and first-party games. But if you gave me a choice of, well, boom, here, take your choice of free copies. I'll give you a free copy of Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the Xbox or the PlayStation 5. Well, 10 out of 10 times it's going to be Xbox because of a lot of reasons. But if you're going to give me Miles Morales, of course I'm going to play it on the PlayStation 5 because it's an exclusive, and I really do like their exclusives. But you know, again, strong points on a topic that is, I see the chat is going a bit crazy. You know, before I get to Infinite AA, I want to thank Spooky Sprocket Gaming. He drops an outstanding, very generous $5 super sticker. Well, dude, first of all, welcome to the program, and thank you for your generosity, my friend. Also, you know, G.I. Horton actually just, dropped something in the chat that I find interesting. He says, no smart delivery on Spider-Man. People waiting to buy a PlayStation 5 when they finally get their new console. They don't want to play in PS4 back compat mode. That's a strong point. I for some reason I thought it was. Maybe I'm mistaken, but yeah, if that in fact is the case, if you buy it on one and you can't get the upgrade, that sucks for sure. But you know what? Infinite AA, let's get your opinion on this. Now, Miles Morales was made popular. People, I mean, he's been in the MCU for years. He's not a new character. Let's understand that. Spider-Man Miles Morales is he's got at least 10 years under his belt. But he was made popular in the animated film The Spider-Verse, which I actually got for Christmas. I got it on the I got the HDR version of it. It looks magnificent. One of my favorite Spider-Man movies. I know it's when you compare the real live action to animation, but it's so good. And he was made popular there. He was done very well in Spider-Man 2018. Though he was limited, he didn't have his powers for the most of the game. What are your thoughts on the reason? Because Sony hasn't said it. You saw I said, is Sony disappointed with the sales? Listen, I'm not a Sony representative, but I can assure you that they are disappointed with the sales. They may not publicly admit that, but they expected this to sell 2-3 million copies just based on the fact that Spider-Man 2018 was a raging success, and Miles Morales is a fantastic character, and more importantly, holiday season, PlayStation 5 launch, 115 million PS4s. It seems like the recipe for success. But though that wasn't the case, what are your thoughts on why?
Well, number one, marketing, like we've all said. Number two, as King would say, glorified DLC. I mean, it's a shorter game for the cost of like a full price almost, right? So it's just they marketed it as a PS5 exclusive through their shows, and on Twitter they came out after, they say, oh, it actually comes for PS4, right? But people didn't know that. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he's a PlayStation casual, and he's like, oh, he put like 60 hours into Spider-Man, 2018 version. And I'm like, dude, you gonna buy Miles Morales? He's like, no, I don't have PS5. And I'm like, it's on the PS4. And he's like, no, I didn't know that. He's like, I'm going to get it now.
There you go.
Exactly. Not to mention the cloud saves is a big thing too. I think a lot of people who played 2018 Spider-Man didn't finish the game, right? And also they want their saves to move over if they jump to PlayStation 5, but it's a lot of iffy marketing, and people are a little unsure about it just because of Jim Ryan saying one thing and then saying another, and Insomniac's being a little bit quiet about it too. And when you look at the sales figures of the first month for 2018 Spider-Man, that was 2 million, right? That's good. And you got a quarter of that. I mean, yeah, you could blame it on the PlayStation 5 saying, hey, there's only so many PS5s out in the wild, but they should have been saying from the get-go, hey, this is on PS4, because if it's true that it was going to be DLC in 2019 and not and they pushed it to the PS5 to sell them, like if you want to sell copies over PS5s, my question is, what did they want to sell? More PS5s or more copies? And they chose PS5s, I guess, but that doesn't make sense when you don't have many PS5s out in the wild. I don't have much more to say about that, but
look, I'll say this. Yeah, sure. The easy answer here, folks, is that the PlayStation 5 is still, not that it was, it's still a very difficult console to find. Sure, there have been some people that have posted pictures that they got theirs. Others like Boxer Bear, obviously, he's a part of the Xbox Factor podcast. He had an issue with the Best Buy of Europe that made them pay for the console up front. He still doesn't have his, and I think there's some sort of a class action lawsuit going on with that company. I just don't think that is the answer that I'm willing to accept. Sure, if it was only on the PlayStation 5, then we're not even having this conversation. But I want to know why the 115 million PlayStation 4 owners did not rally to support a game that not only is from Insomniac, not only is a follow-up to 2018's unbelievable Spider-Man, but a character that has been made popular due to a very, very amazing, no pun intended, animated film. And we're going to see him brought to live action in the MCU shortly. Hopefully, we'll even get a glimpse of what he looks like in Spider-Man 3, which is going to be releasing this holiday. But I don't know. I again, it's a bit of a head scratcher. But let's go to Tempest Sun on this. Tempest, can you kind of dig us out of this hole? Why did it sell so poorly?
I might get a lot of hate for saying this. I don't know. I think Miles as a character is fine. I like the movie. The movie made okay money. I just checked the box office, worldwide box office. It made okay money. I don't even necessarily think a lot of the people who went to go see that movie went for Miles Morales or Spider-Gwen or Spider-Pig or a Spider-Man Noir or any of that stuff. I think they went because Spider-Man was in it. I just think at the end of the day, a lot of people don't care. They don't care. Like, I do have an example for you. In this realm of people here, people in the chat, people on this panel, if I say the name Gambit, we're like, oh, Gambit's awesome. He's awesome, dude. I love it. What if they made a Gambit game? That'd be so cool, right?
Yeah.
Bottom line is Gambit probably only has about half of the purchase potential, maybe even a quarter of the purchase potential that a Wolverine game would have, right? Doesn't matter the quality. It doesn't matter what they put behind it. He's just not at that point yet. Miles is not Peter Parker yet. It just is what it is. I don't think. Plus, I mean, it had the stink of not knowing what it was. At first, they said it was a DLC. Then it was a standalone game. Obviously, the mixed messaging that didn't help it. Very early reports of it being clearable, beatable in like 5-7 hours. Now, I'm not saying that's the end all be all. I loved Resident Evil 3. That game took me like, I don't know, 8-9 hours to beat my first time or whatever. And I took my time. Was it too short in the end? Yeah, I think it ended up hurting it, but I loved it. But this is a $50 game, and it's very short. It is also incredibly similar to something that came out 2 years prior. So I just think it had a bunch of stuff working against it, and the numbers speak for itself. It really does. I don't know. The bottom line, I don't think enough people, the general public, care. Because if you ask me, be honest with you, be completely honest, hearing that there's 115 million PS4s out there, and I don't even know if did it actually even hit 20 million, the Spider-Man 2018?
Yes, it surpassed 20 million copies.
It did surpass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, to me, that is still, I'm not going to say pathetic. It's still great. It's still awesome. And for their business model, it made them a lot of money, but that's still off. That still doesn't, there's something wrong there. I don't know if it's just so much of that 115 million people are the epitome of what you would call a casual gamer. But even the Spider-Man game, I think, should appeal to the casual gamer. But to me, 20 million, even though it's a big number, the attach rate to 115 million consoles just seems off to me, to be honest with you. And when you look at something like Animal Crossing, Animal Crossing, that's sold. I think that's at like 25 million or something like that.
It might even be 30, dude. Like,
yeah, I mean, look at that. It's
you know what? It's funny. It's when you there's something. Look, folks, I am a Nintendo nerd. I have been since the age of 15 years old when I got my first NES for my birthday. I've been a fan. I still support them. Yes, I'm like all the other dopes that buy the same freaking copy of Super Mario, whatever, for like the 100th time. It is what it is. There is something to be said when looking, again, that's why I don't think Nintendo is rushing to get us a new console. Like I think we're going to get one this year. That's just my opinion. It has no validation whatsoever. I just think that to coincide with Breath of the Wild 2, they're going to release or potentially stealth release the new console, but they don't have to. They sell almost 1-to-1. I mean, think about this. I think they're up to 38. No, yes, I'm not even sure what the number is.
I think it's probably more than that, especially if you think worldwide.
Yeah, it's ridiculous the amount of consoles that they have sold. I think they're closing in on. No, I'm sorry, it's 68 million console Switches sold. That's what the number is. I saw it just the other day. Mm-hmm. And when you consider that potentially half the populace, 30 million people, went out and bought Animal Crossing, that is ridiculous.
And I mean, a lot of people love that game. I don't think even people that love that game could objectively say that it's a really good game. It just has a certain something to it, a certain magic to it, and that's what Nintendo does. They like sell you on, we're Nintendo and we sell you crack. That's pretty much what it is. Like their stuff is like oddly addictive for what it is, and I just don't. Also, I will say this: going back to the Spider-Man thing, maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of fatigue setting in on a couple things.
It's funny. No one has said that. Do me a favor, elaborate on that for a second, because I actually thought about putting that in the show notes and said, well, wait a second. Fatigue means that we got this last year and it's another one. But Spider-Man 2018, now we're talking, 2020. Is it really?
Well, like I said, it's another game, albeit for $50, which is expensive for the length and everything, but it's pretty much got the exact same gameplay and the exact same setting, just in a different time of year of 2018's Spider-Man. And that game was decently lengthy. And there's a lot of people like Boom yourself, 60 plus hours. So the thought of going into another one 2 years later, it's just superhero fatigue. Just a couple months ago, even though it had good sales right away, it died super quick because the game's busted as all hell. But we did get another Marvel game. Now, Spider-Man wasn't in that yet, but it's still a superhero game. We've seen multiple Spider-Man movies and stuff like that. And just it's just another open world game. At the end of the day, that if it's superhero or not, that is what it is. It's an open world game. I mean, I'm currently addicted to an open world game, right? But we got Assassin's Creed, Phoenix Rising, we got Watch Dogs Legion, and then Spider-Man, and Ghost of Tsushima was just like 2 months before that.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at it like, it seems like 6 out of 10 games that come out anymore, like large open world games.
You're right, dude.
Yeah. And so
when you said fatigue, I thought maybe you were referring to fatigue in regards to Spider-Man. It
is to him particular. You all know I meant that as well. I did mean that as well. And it's to me personally, the only Spider-Man game that ever grabbed me, and I did play 2018 Spider-Man. The only game that ever grabbed me was The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that's the first time that they actually added.
Everyone loved that game,
and for a good reason, because it's the first time they ever actually showed physics. Like when you swung, you attached to something with his webs. The old school games when I was a kid, it was just like the old school cartoon. You'd shoot webs up in the sky and attach to a cloud, right? So I mean, that was like mind-bending that they put that in. That's why I liked it. I personally think Spider-Man doesn't fit very well in video game form personally, because like he can bench press like 20 tons. I think he's outrageously, he could like punch a person at full power and the person would just explode into dust. Like that's how powerful he is, right? Meanwhile, when he's fighting just thugs on the street, he has to do 30 hit combos and they just get back up and they're like, I'm going to get you, and start shooting at you again. It just doesn't work for me. It works when you're Batman because you're a man.
Right.
You're a strong man, but you're a man. So when you're laying into these dudes, eventually when they go down, you're like, yeah, I'm a badass. I'm Batman. Spider-Man, it's like, why did I just have to punch you 30 times, dude? You're just like a thug in a hoodie, So I don't know. I do think they might need to lay off Spider-Man. Give it some time. Just give it a little bit of time. 2-3 years from now, you'll have another 20 million seller game, But yeah,
I mean, look, again, it's a topic that I'm glad the people in the chat are talking about. I'm glad that we are having an adult conversation, because when you try to talk about this on social media, people get really twisted. Like is it as if we're throwing darts at Spider-Man per se. And folks, we got to stop the program for a second, because showing up, bailing us out of only having 4 people here is the one and only, the other Canadian, if you will, the other twin tower of Canadians. Noob Nukem, welcome to the program.
Boom, boom, kaboom. Somebody left the door open to this room. I snuck all in, so here I am, baby. Yeah, what's happening, people? Happy New Year once and all.
Well, Happy New Year to you. Obviously, I didn't know. I saw you in the chat, and I figured I would just throw the Hail Mary. You caught it. We are up 1 score going into the last few seconds of the game. Well, not really. We still have an hour of the program. But, no, first of all, thanks so much for answering the call. You're going to be joining us on Friday morning's monster show for Breakfast with Boom. But, we're talking Spider-Man, and I know that the reason why I'm glad you're here, so I saw you going back and forth, giving your opinion about, why should I buy it now? I don't have a PlayStation 5. People are talking about smart delivery. Why should I buy it for the PlayStation 4? And if I can't play it on the PlayStation 5? See, and again, I don't know if that is fact. I'm going to be honest with you folks. I don't know, but before I get to you, let me just thank 2 people that dropped super chats literally before you came in here. A very good friend, generous friend of the show, Gotham Guy, drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says Sony needed a AAA launch title to rival at the time Halo Infinite launch title for the Series X launching. The Last of Us 2 for the PlayStation 5 was their plan A, and when that didn't work, Miles was their plan B. That is a strong opinion and a very, very strong thought, dude. Thank you for the generosity. And of course, thank you for the comment. We have Michael Miner drops an outstanding $5 super chat, says pricing is the culprit. I'm not having a smart, it says not having a smart delivery option. He says Hive Busters dropped on Microsoft Store for $30 or $40 free on Xbox Game Pass. Again, another strong point. We're going to be talking about Gears momentarily. Listen, New, for you, look, Spider-Man 2018, I don't know what your opinion of it, whether you loved it, you hated it, you were lukewarm, but there is no doubt that Sony expected the PlayStation 5. Look, again, this is just my opinion. I'm not speaking for Jim Ryan or anybody at their finance team, but if I can go crazy and say that I believe that they were hoping every console sold, PlayStation 5 was a copy of Miles Morales was expected to sell with it. Jim may never admit that. I'm saying that that's what I think. And then when you think about how it was made available on a PlayStation 4 at the same time. They didn't have to wait a week, a month, or a year. They literally got their chance to buy it the same day. Only 600,000 copies sold. Seems extremely light, in my opinion. Why do you think that was?
Well, I have a number of theories on why it's light. I mean, it's light at this point in time. I mean, the game is probably going to sell like gangbusters over time, and especially if it gets a price drop, that can only help it because, well, it's less than the original Spider-Man costed at retail. It's also, I mean, you know, theoretically, I guess it's a little bit less of a game. There's less to do. I could be wrong in this, but correct me if I'm wrong. I heard it obviously doesn't take quite as long to complete from start to finish. But here's a couple of things. If you look at the original Spider-Man game, first of all, it had a lot more time in the oven, which means there was a lot of time to build hype for the game. You know what I mean? Like it was going for a couple of years prior to the game even coming out. We saw screenshots, we saw E3s. We didn't have that privy this year, really seeing a lot about Miles Morales up until the last minute. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of people were actually shocked when that announcement came out that there wasn't. Remember this year when they announced it and people were like, there's another Spider-Man that's coming, and it goes 2020?
Yeah.
And people were like, what the, like, wasn't it like yesterday you just guys brought up ones? We were all kind of shocked. So I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. So it obviously didn't have as much time to build up the hype. Now, mind you, Spider-Man is a license that basically prints money, okay? Most of the superhero games print money. And I think this game will do all right. The other side of the coin is, if you look at when Spider-Man first came out, it was driven by a lot of hype. It was also driven by the fact we hadn't had a Spider-Man game in a very long time, certainly not a good Spider-Man game. And it came bundled with the PS4 Pro. We all remember that also caused a surge in sales when people bought the PS4 Pro. Heck, I know I went out and bought one even though I didn't need one. I went out and got the Spider-Man bundle PS4 Pro, which came with the game. So automatically, that jumped its sales up a couple of million right out of the gate because they had a pretty good supply of PS4 Pros, that sort of thing. I guess the real anomaly here is why didn't the PlayStation 4 base really jump on this game? It seems like from a lot of the people I've seen play PS5 so far, even from my friends list, a lot of people have Miles Morales. So it's not a quality of game. It's not that. I think it's also the timing. I mean, first of all, if you wanted to play this game like me, I want to play Miles Morales, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to pay that much money and play it on my PS4 Pro. I want to play the best version of the game on the the PlayStation 5, and I can't get one. So there's a lot of people in the same boat as me that are wanting to buy Miles Morales, but if you can't buy the console, you can't buy the game. It's that simple. So we got a little bit of that going on. We also got the fact that this launch came out in the middle of November. The other Spider-Man launch, if I'm correct, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe I bought mine. It was in September month. So it came out just a little bit before all of the big heavy hitters like the Call of Duties of the world. And God knows, because every time Call of Duty comes out, guys, it doesn't matter where it launches, it always dwarfs everything. It just dwindles everything that comes out within that week before, a week after. Look, the average gamer, the person that buys one or two games a year, they're not generally buying Spider-Man. They're getting Call of Duty. I said it in the chat, and I know I'm kind of trying to be a humorous on this, but half of the PlayStation fan base, or at least it feels like it, are basically buying PlayStations to play Fortnite and Minecraft, and Call of Duty. Look at the top 10 games almost every month. It's the same crap. It's rinse and repeat. Like, I feel bad for developers because Why even bother making so many new IPs when no matter how much work you put into them, how good the game comes out, it's the same games that sell over and over. It's just sequelitis or rinse and repeat. It's all the freaking time. Every top 10. Look, GTA is still in the top 10. GTA 5, people, that is a problem. That's an industry problem when a game that's been out since 2013.
Yeah.
7 years, the game is still in the top 10. I mean, whose grandmother hasn't bought this game yet? Who hasn't played this game in which shape or form? I mean, between this one and Skyrim, this game has been on everything but your refrigerator at this point. Actually, matter of fact, I think they might have even had Skyrim on a refrigerator. But like Spider-Man, again, it's a great property. It will sell. It might sell a little bit later on in the year. People will pick it up. I think as more people buy consoles and people pick up PS5, the numbers will go up. I mean, the game is probably going to be a bona fide hit regardless. It just might be the out-of-the-gate numbers are high. And again, I contributed to a lot of those factors. One of you guys said it in the chat. I forget who. It might have been Tempest or it might have been Infinite A about the character itself. Miles Morales is not a household name like Spider-Man is. We all know Spider-Man. And he's Spider-Man, yes, but it's Miles Morales. He's not Peter Parker. He's not the character that's been around since the 1960s or 50s or whenever the hell he came out. And that takes time for people to get used to their favorites, sort of getting kicked to the wayside and I have nothing wrong with that per se. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. As a matter of fact, I endorse it. But look, we all seen that every game that takes chances with new characters it's either going to be really successful or it kind of comes out to a lukewarm reception. Let's take Halo, for example. Halo 5. That was actually a pretty damn good game. But you know what most of the complaints were? Just too much lock. Where's Master Chief? There you go. Same thing here. Too much Miles Morales, not enough of the original Spider-Man. People can say, well, there's been a billion Spider-Man. Well, I'm sorry. But again, it's that tried and true character. It's like your favorite sports athlete. You know what I mean? Like, you love the team dearly when their favorite sports athlete is there, but when he retires, you don't gravitate to the new players quite the same as the one that you kind of grew up with. That is your bread and butter, your heart and soul. And then you got, look at the Avengers. That Avengers game should have easily destroyed Spider-Man in terms of sales. That one didn't even sell as well as Miles Morales. Well, it probably did, because it's on multiple platforms. But that game sort of tanked. They actually lost a bunch of money on Avengers. And you think Avengers, again, licensed to print money. But here it is. It was a poor game, and people caught on to it early. And I think it was largely because the community figured out that this game wasn't all that great. And two, you had a character that you're playing for half the game that some of us were like, who in the frigates is Kamala Khan lady? Like, I don't want to play as Rubber Band Girl. I want to play as the Hulk. I want to, So I think there's a lot of factors that play a part in why Spider-Man maybe is blowing the doors off like we think, but I think a good portion of it is that people want to play it on PS5 and they just can't get one. I don't know what else to say other than that. I mean, the price is not bad. I heard Mag say, up here it was 80 something bucks. I know in my neck of the woods here where I am, I could buy it for around 60 bucks, but they didn't even have a sale on it either. I was hoping that it might have went on sale for the Black Friday sales and it wasn't in there, because I was actually tempted to pick up a PS4 copy, but I said, frig it, at this point, if I'm going to pay full price, I'll just wait for get my PS5 and I'll get it on that. I mean, the better version, right? So I don't know. Like, if you buy what is it? If you buy the PS4 title, you can play it on the PS5. If I bought the PS5 title and put it in my PS4, nothing happens, right? Is that how it goes?
I think so.
You know what? I'm not exactly sure. See, that's the thing, because I bought it for the PlayStation 5. I know that there was a lot of a misunderstanding and miscommunication with Sony and Insomniac Games, for that matter, about how this works. Can we play it if we buy it in a PlayStation 4? Can we move it over to the PlayStation? Because they don't have their own version of Microsoft's smart delivery. They just don't. So I don't actually know that.
So I think for me, Boom, I think I kind of summed up most of the points I had. I mean, I'm not an expert. I don't have the anomalies as to why some of these games sell really well, why other games sell so poorly. I mean, like I said, with Spider-Man, you think it would have been kind of an easy sell out of the gate, but I don't know the exact numbers, the adoption rate to the PlayStation 5. But well, I mean, if you only sold three, put it this way though, as well. Well, I guess I have to know how many of those are PS4 copies and how many are PS5. Because if you were saying 600 million copies, or sorry, 600,000,
yeah,
if it was 600,000 PS5 copies on a console that just basically came out at 3 million sold or 3.4 million shipped is what they're saying, and probably sold. then that would be an actual really good number. So the question is how much of the 600,000 is PS4 title, and
Well,
how
see
much
that
is
see that's the
PS5?
thing that's the thing, and that's a great point because I tried to find that, and Sony isn't saying. See,
Yeah.
that's where we get into the weeds, and this again, this is why I led with the title. Is Sony disappointed with the sales of Miles Morales? Because usually Sony is like a chicken. They're Jim Ryan's chest is pushed out because he knows he has something to talk about, and no one is saying, no one is talking. 600,000 is the number. Sony, as a matter of fact, didn't even give that number. That number is being generated among the gaming media. So 600,000. I mean, is it half and half? Is it 300,000 on the PS5, 300,000 on the PS4? No one knows.
Yeah.
But if it would have been much more well received, you could rest assured Sony would have been on the top of the barn roosting about it. I don't know. I mean, again, it's an interesting conversation. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that it's a fine game. I think graphically it really does show off your PlayStation 5. I haven't seen it on the PlayStation 4 because obviously I have the 5 version, but I'm enjoying it. I'm going to platinum it like I did Spider-Man 2018. I could tell you that right now. It's definitely for me. It may not be for everyone. I'm just a little taken aback with the sales. You know, it's funny. While everyone was talking, I brought up the Uncharted Lost Legacy sales, and again, this is old numbers. I try to find 2020 numbers. I can't find it. Again, I didn't have a chance to do the research. And this is from October 12th, 2017. So it's 3 years old. They sold under 600,000 copies.
What? Really?
So that's,
Yeah,
I mean, so let's say, for instance, they sold 1 million. Let's just say 1 million. That's light also. And I don't know if you've played Lost Legacy. It's well worth your time.
Yeah, it is.
Well worth your time. But I do want to move on to one of the major topic of tonight's show, and I think this is what we're going to close out the show with easily, and it's a big one. One of the hottest topics in gaming, folks, when talking about the Xbox brand or platform, is the relevance of Gears of War, the franchise. Now, there are many in the community that include both gamers and journalists that will bullishly consider the franchise as long in the tooth, quote unquote, and one that should be put on hold for a while. Well, during the month of December, the Coalition released the new DLC called Hive Busters. It is a DLC that puts the Series X through its paces. It is a showpiece for this piece of console, this hardware. It is what I'm hoping Gears 6 becomes. If you have not played it, it is something I highly recommend. It's 3 to 5 hours in length, not that long. I spent a little bit longer playing it before beating it because I was looking for all of the collectibles. One of the biggest additions was the supers, or the abilities that each character has, and they're dope. They are dope, and I think what we're seeing, folks, is a test run to what may come to fruition in Gears 6 whenever that releases. Though I will say that if you've played it, I'm hoping for a more RPG-esque element to find its way into Gears, where you can customize your character that you're using with different supers or abilities. I keep calling them supers like we're playing Street Fighter, but they're that important. And, you know, I will say that the 3 characters that are in this DLC you've seen, because it was in the multiplayer aspect of Gears 5, where you had to escape the Hive. It's Keegan, Leon, Lonnie, and Mac. And I'll put it to this way: in my personal opinion, this is something that I think Gears needs more of. It's great for Marcus, right? No one's ever going to not want to play as Marcus. I think we will all admit that. But, you know, again, spoilers, folks. It's been almost a year and a half since Gears 5. If you don't know what happened, you turn away from the microphone and the headphones right now, because we're going to spoil some stuff. Some people die at the end, and regardless of what choice you made, Gear 6 is going to look different. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be different for everyone depending on the choices that you made at the end of Gears 5. Now, with that said, I think Gears 6 needs to use a lot of what we saw in this test version of this DLC called Hive Busters. I absolutely loved it, but the question that we're gonna talk about, and I really want the chat to get involved in this. There are two very equally large questions that we need to discuss here. The first question is, what do you want Gears 6 to look like? What should they adapt from Gears 5? What didn't you like? What did you like? And what do you want to see in the new Gears title? And this is the real divisive question. And I got to be honest with you. I put this out there, and I really got a lot of slack for it. Not in a vicious, I hate you boom kind of a way, but people are kind of gotten their feels about this. And the question that I asked, and I'm asking the chat now, and I'm asking my esteemed panel here, is, should the coalition consider running a second team to make a new IP? And I say you're absolutely right. They should. I think that Gears is fine. I think Gears is a pillar. It's one of the pillars in Microsoft's platform that need to be there, that needs to continue, like the Forzas and like the Halos. But I think that team only doing Gears, especially on the reception of Gears 5, and speaking of Gears, Crispy Bomb shows up. What's going on, dude? You got here in the nick of time. We just started talking about your favorite franchise of all time, and Gears. But I'm going to come back to you in a second, brother. Thanks so much for being here, dude.
Absolutely love it. What is up, chat? Hey, the panel. We got Noof here too. He knows a little bit about Gears.
Yeah, he might know a little bit about Gears. And we're gonna get to both you gentlemen in a second. I do want to go to Infinite AA first. He is our special guest of the evening. Listen, Infinite, I don't know what your affiliation is to the Gears franchise, whether you love it, you hate it, or you're somewhere in the middle.
It.
But the two questions that I pose to you, and I really want the chat to get involved here, is, what do you want Gears 6 to look like? And more importantly, do you think that it's high time that they actually work on a new IP that's not Gears related?
Well, I think they should work on an IP that's not Gears related, but we see Xbox doing this with so many of their different studios. They need to hire more people, make more teams. They can still work on Gears. They can push other games. They can make a new IP, and it could release in 3, 4, 5 years, and they could actually spend a little bit more time on Gear 6. Make it better. Take your foundation from Gears 5, especially like Hive Busters and what they had with that open world area in Gears 5 with that Iceland area or whatever. Push the boundaries with Gear 6, but they don't need to be on a tight schedule saying we need to release a Gears now. No, they don't need to release a Gears now. They can release one later, and they can hire some people, take some people that they already have, and they can start making concepts of a new game. We want Xbox to have tons of games, not just Gears. Yeah, Gears, Forza, Halo, that's the mantra. That's all Xbox has. But we don't want that anymore. And I don't want Gears to go away. I don't want Halo to go away. I don't want Forza to go away. But why can't they hire more people, make other games? People at the Coalition, they're so good at their craft. They can make such better games like that aren't just in the Gears franchise. I'm saying they can make games great in the Gears franchise too. But why just be locked? Why just be locked to one thing? And as for what I want with it, I want it to be like Hive Busters, but on steroids. I want it to look great. I want it to play great. And I want the characters to be built off of Gears 5. Like, they are good storytellers. They really are. And
well, they're the masters of the Unreal Engine. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Well, and do I think, they should make other games, obviously, but I don't know. That's my take on it.
I mean, look, I'll say this. Let me see if I could pull it up because I just wrote him on. Let's see, who was it over here? Hold on, just a second. Let me. Fireboss. Actually, first of all, welcome to the program, dude. He actually said something in the chat where he said that their team has hired, and he heard, and I heard the same thing, that they're apparently working on another a new IP. We've heard that, but there comes a point where you got to eventually talk about it. Again, I'm hoping that we definitely see some changes in Microsoft. Again, if you don't want to show us anything, I hear you. But as a community, how long did we go back and forth with Fable? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like they dragged it out to the point of nauseum. You know, and again, you don't want to show the world your whole cards, because obviously Sony's watching too. Nintendo, well, they don't really give a shit. Nintendo's doing their own thing. They could care less. But you don't want to give up show your tip your hand, so to speak. If you're a card player, you know what I'm talking about. But there comes a point where, listen, there were a couple of things that I took away from Hivebusters. One, the advertising was nothing short of abysmal. Everyone who owns an Xbox, regardless of whether it's a Series X, a Series S, an Xbox One X, or an S, or an OG Xbox, everyone should have been playing this because it was in Game Pass. I know that they're not looking for sale numbers. We're not talking about sales numbers. This is the Miles Morales conversation. But the Xbox community, which they have, and even though they've only said that it's 15 million, I know for a fact, I have people that have told me it's over 20 million. Should at least half of the people should have been playing this game. Not a lot of people were talking about it. That's why this is like the third or fourth time I'm talking about Hivebusters, because it's that damn good. But I mean, look, say what you want about the Gears franchise being long in the tooth or not. It's one of those franchises very similar to what Sony does. How many Uncharteds were there? How many Gods of War they're going to be? How many Horizons are they going to be? Probably 10 after the one that has come out. There's no doubt about it. So let's lay off on, well, it's
only Xbox is not allowed to make sequels, Boom. You
exactly.
Know that, right?
That's a great point.
Nintendo can make 500 fucking Mario games, and nobody.
And no one says, you know what? Speaking of which, let's bring you into the conversation, Mr. Noof Nukem. Look, the two questions that I pose are simple. Number one, what do you want Gears 6 to look like? But more importantly, do you feel, in your gaming professional opinion, that they should? Because listen, folks, if you want to know how many people they have working there, I went and I pulled this up. This is from LinkedIn, folks, and I checked it yesterday. But when I was putting the show notes together, they currently have over 500 plus employees at the coalition. Okay. And we have heard from very anonymous sources that once Rod Ferguson left to go work on Diablo 4, that a lot of the restraints that were holding a lot of the creators back from the Gears franchise they wanted to expand were now snapped off. That's why I think we got Hivebusters, because I think that it is a real, yes, it's more Gears, sure, but it's definitely something different in a good way. But for you, Mr. Noof Nukem, do you want to see this extremely talented storytelling type of team that are the masters of the Unreal Engine make a new IP?
Okay, first of all, the coalition was put together, obviously, for those who aren't in the know. They used to be Black Tusk, and when Ron Ferguson came over, they were solely purposed to basically revamp, remodel, and basically refocus on Gears of War. Microsoft is not stupid. They know Gears, outside of Forza and Halo, is one of their flagship titles. It's becoming quickly synonymous with the name Xbox, and it's big, it's visceral, it's loud, it's aggressive. It's kind of almost everything that Xbox has kind of stood for over the years, and it's a great third-person title that very few other companies are doing in this vein, and do it as well as what the coalition, formerly Epic Games, were doing with it. So I do want to see another Gears game, but here's the thing. I want them to also go back to Gears of War. I don't like this short and title to me. It just is, stop cutting. It's only 3 words. Gears of War. We don't need Gears. Because to me, for those who don't know what Gears of War is, you say Gears, probably the average idiot on the street thinks it's a racing game. Right? Gears. Look, I'd never say it was a game with guns and chainsaws attached to them. Gears. Like, come on. So go back to Gears of War, because war, baby. Gears, like, you remember when you first played it, and Crispy's probably going to bring, you first played those first games. What's the things that stood out to you? Well, first of all, mind-blowing graphics, larger-than-life characters, crazy-ass enemies that came up out of the ground and swarm you, and stuff that was like out of some of your weirdest nightmares or some of the craziest movies you've ever seen. It was like, this stuff is sci-fi done right. Great big choppers, giant crab-like looking creatures busting out of the ground. That's what it was. And it was a little slower pace. It wasn't just constantly stop, pop, shoot, stop, pop, shoot, stop, pop, shoot. It was a little bit going through the corridors, and it was a little bit spooky. It was a little bit dark, and you had the wretches popping out and the krill coming down from the sky. It had a lot of variety, and they did that pretty well. Plus, they had characters that we had a chance to grow in love with over the course of a couple of games. We all know how when Dom died, how meaningful and impactful that was on most Gears fans. It was like, whoa, you know what I mean? But they haven't hit that height. And I've been saying this for show after show after show. I said the problem with Gears now is the characters are flat. They are boring. They switched it over to Kate. They switched it over to JD. I'm sorry, those characters are great, but they're not Marcus. They're not the Delta Squad. They're not Baird and Cole, who used to have that wicked banter going on all the time. Like, whoa, baby, we're going to kill another one. Like, they never had any of that stuff. Like, the newer squad, I do like. They're a step in the right direction. I mean, what's his name there with the bald head and the beard? He's pretty cool. He kind of reminds me of Cole Train. You got Lonnie. She's pretty wild. And then you got that freaking Irish guy, the Scottish or Irish dude.
He's awesome. Yeah, dude.
He's awesome. Like, and that sort of stuff. But so here's the problem: the enemies too. Like, I don't know how they're going to do it, but they need to kill this storyline. They're going with the swarm. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't like them. I don't like the swarm. Period. They're just weird looking versions of the locust. The locusts were like not as ugly in a sense, but they were just more believable and cool. And the swarm is weird. You got these crab things, and they got these bouncing versions of the wretches, but they're just weird. What do you call them? The little guys that go around making a weird noise, the juvies all the time. Then they got that giant vagina crab that goes around and swallows everybody. Like, they got so much weird crap going on now. It's like, what is this game? Like, it's just kind of getting weird, but it's not like scary. It's not visceral anymore. It's largely becoming a set piece action game. And I'm not, some people are going to love it. Some people, and I don't hate it. I'm just saying what I think they should do is, one, either go back and make a prequel about the Pendulum Wars based on some of the wicked books that Karen Travis wrote.
I like what you're putting down.
That would be good. Just restart it. Go back to the beginning. Show us about Delta Squad when you were younger, how Marcus became the Marcus Phoenix, and that sort of stuff. Or what you do is maybe find an arc, kill off some of these characters, start fresh. Just because Gears is on this one planet doesn't mean that Gears can't exist on another planet with another completely different style of enemy. Or maybe there's more locusts on other parts of the planets or somewhere else in the cosmos that, hey, we got to send a crew over here because these guys actually exist on another planet, and they're about to do the same thing that they tried to do with this one. Do you know what I mean? And as far as the game itself is concerned, maybe, you know what? And this one is going on a limb here. Some people might hate it, but I think it would really work. Can you imagine Gears as first person? Now, I'm not saying make the whole game first person. I'm saying make an alternate mode. So if you want it, you could play the game in first person, or you could play it in third person. Because for those people that gnarly aren't keen on third person shooters, can you imagine going up and chainsawing the dude in first person and coming down? How cool would that be? It would be nuts. I mean, the weapons are cool. And the other thing that Gears has been sadly missing, and still, even with High Busters, is that one enemy. That one enemy that even comes close to Rom and how much you could
General Rom is scary, dude. That guy was like Michael Myers scary.
Absolutely. You hit it on the head. He was visceral. He was mean. He was ugly. He comes out first thing in the first Gears, and he shanks Kim up through the gut, and you're like, whoa, it's going to be like that now, is it?
Yeah, he got him good.
The tone was set in those games. And you know what? And I'm going out on a limb here, too. He's still looking for a bit of work. You know what, guys? Maybe Microsoft, maybe bring Cliffy B back in here. See what he's got. He actually has made it a point that he would come back if you'd let him. Bring Cliff back in. Maybe he's got a shitload of ideas now. He's had like 5 years to sit around and count his money. and he wants to get some sense of success. I'm not just saying, even as a consultant, even as like an outside in, just
I
to come
have
in,
to disagree, sir.
right?
A big old hell no to that. Just
But-
saying.
We'll get to you in a second there.
I'll just leave off on
I know
this.
you got a lot
Let
to
other people talk. I'll let other people talk, but I'm going to leave off on this. I like the fact that Coalition is focused on Gears. I think that's where they should stay. Now, unless they're going to expand the studio and give them the option to make something else, because here's the deal. With game development now being so stupidly slow, I don't know if I want to handle one Gears game coming out every 5 or 6 years. The generations are only 7 to 10 years long at best. And it's really starting to annoy me that the games that I really love don't seem to come out at all, but yet we got Assassin's Creed coming out as much as I take a crap. Like every year, there's Assassin's Creed, Assassin's Creed, you know. So why can't more studios make more? You know, obviously Ubisoft doesn't have a trouble with every Ubisoft team making an Assassin's Creed game, like Ubisoft Quebec, Ubisoft Montreal, Ubisoft somebody else. Everybody make Assassin's Creed, but Coalition making Gears. Now I hope they continue to make Gears, and I want them to make it bigger and better. But with saying that, if they are to expand the team and say we're going to have one crew making Gears, the other crew can take a chance out, maybe freshen their legs a little bit and go try something else, I'm cool with that too. But again, this company, we got 23 studios now once Microsoft locks down the deal with Bethesda. I think we can have 1 or 2 or 3 companies that are dedicated and focused in on one particular title. You know what I'm saying? So let them do what they do best. If the series starts to tank, well, then maybe you need some fresh blood in there, somebody that can invigorate this franchise with a new vision. Maybe take the corporate constraints off a little bit and let them just kind of go to town and see where it goes. At this point in time, Gears cannot be afraid to fail anymore. It has to go for the jugular and land where it may. There's going to be other games to pick up the slack. Worst case can happen, it tanks, and Microsoft pulls the plug and says, well, that's enough of Gears. It's just going downhill. I mean, we see people in the chat. How many times I see people, it's the same old game. No, it's not the same old
Not
game.
really. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a cop-out answer. It's the same old game. It's really not.
It's totally different. Go back and play the first game and play the latest High Busters. Man, they're almost so completely different outside of the third-person aspect and the fact you're still using a Lancer. That's about the similarities. Hell, Mario still wears blue suspenders, if I'm correct.
Yes,
how many years is that?
It's on Wampers. Yeah, so yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
right. He smells like swamp gas and mushrooms, I'm telling you. So there you go. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Other guys want to jump in. I think I've said a bundle and perhaps even more, as you can tell, 2 passionate topics, and I always get worked up over Gears. I'm confident in the franchise.
Why do you think I asked you to be on the show? Because you're a gamer, dude. You know what I'm saying? And your bread and butter is playing games mostly with the community, and this is a community-based game. So to hear your opinion is not only great, but it's truthful. That's one of the things I love about you, Noof, and you can't argue the passion. You know, speaking of passion, and I want to get to the rest of the panel momentarily, but when you say Gears and you say passion, well, you have to bring Crispy Bomb into the conversation because, quite frankly, that is his bag. Listen, Crispy, look, you are someone that will be the first one to talk up a good conversation with Gears. You're also, though, someone who's I like to consider a realist. And if something is bugging you about Gears, you have no problem talking about it. The question to you is very simple. First of all, what do you personally, as the Gears professional of the panel, want from Gear 6? But more importantly, should the coalition at 500 plus employees actually give us something new? And I'm not talking about a passion project. Like I understand, like, you know, Ninja Theory had the passion project with the fighter game, and 8 people did it. And I'm sure that if 8 people from the coalition wanted to do something for a passion project, I would say, oh, fine. But I want a AAA banger new IP, and I think that they would, because of their storytelling chops and the way they are the masters of the Unreal Engine, we could get something as special, potentially even more special than Gears. What are your answers to those questions?
Well, I'll tell you this. Number one, you know, a new AAA IP, you have to understand that the coalition is called the coalition for a reason. They are going to make Gears, but that's not to say they're not going to make it in the Gears universe. And I caution people to understand that if you haven't read any of the books or any of the comics, that's actually High Buster started as a comic, by the way. So, and then it turned into the escape mode, and then turned into the Hivebusters DLC. The only DLC that I would compare that to is Ram Shadow from Gears 3.
Yes.
That is the only one. Because you really Barrick, you remember Barrick?
Yes.
Sophia. Sophia actually, she got killed by let's see, and I always forget his name. That's the actual antagonist in that. But yeah, it was very visceral. Actually, still longer than the Hivebuster DLC.
Yes. Hivebuster is only 3 to 5 hours.
Yeah, this was, and you played as Rom in Rom Shadow. It was pretty incredible, honestly. It's still like I'm sorry, like it has to be one of the greatest DLCs I've ever played. And I will say this: the enjoyment that people are getting from playing Hivebuster. Look, I play Gears more for the multiplayer. Noob could tell you this 100 times. But the lore involved in it is second to none. And you have to understand that Gears of War is a fictional, it's not Earth, it's Sierra.
It's
okay?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So it's fictional. And there's actually, they've already established in some of the books and comics that there are planets around them or moons that could sustain life. And I almost feel like they're going to really blow our minds when Gear 6 comes out. That's what I feel like. Just by the way they treated the Hivebusters DLC, I feel like they're trying to bring this gravitas to the game that was only seen when Gears 2 came out, when you played the Horde mode for the first time, and then all of a sudden you realize down the road that Call of Duty Zombies came from Horde mode. And that literally Gears of War spawned game modes, spawned, visuals. Like I had many developers that I've heard say that Gears of War made them rethink how visuals look. This is something that a lot of people don't realize, is that Hivebusters is the start of what you're going to see with that Unreal Engine 5. I almost guarantee it is not confirmed, but I bet you they have assets to that. And that's why it looks that good. And if you're playing on a Series X, which unfortunately I'm still not, I am trying like hell, and I'm almost willing to pay more at this point, that you're going to see things that, and the gameplay and how it moves and how it feels and everything else is going to be totally different. Now, I will say this: there are copycats out there, like Outriders, for example. Okay, Outriders is people who can fly, who actually developed Gears of War Judgment's multiplayer, but also made Bulletstorm,
which was dope.
Okay, Bulletstorm was a really good game, first person, by the way. A lot of people, so they are very. You never know if Coalition says, "Hey, we could use some of your talent." Like that's the beauty of being behind Microsoft and saying, "Hey, we could hire these people and help us." What I'll tell you this is, I don't believe a true new. We know it ain't Perfect Dark now, right? You know what I mean? Everybody thought it was Perfect Dark. We know it's not. So you got to understand, it's. I feel like if they're going to make a new IP, it's going to be within the Gears universe. And I am with Noof. It should still be called Gears of War, because you have to feel like this visceral experience is war. And that's what they made you feel like when it first started. And now it feels more emotional. And I feel like more people are gravitating to the Hivebusters because it felt like you against the world. And that's always cool. I will say this. A lot of people underestimate the Swarm. The Swarm is a virus, just like the Emulsion was, but we never started with that.
Right.
The Swarm is a totally different thing. This thing could possibly be like the Flood type thing. Okay? If anybody for the Halo references, okay, it has that ability. Think about it. It's taking over robots, for the love of God. So I really think they need to kind of grab onto that because you've already established this new narrative. But at the same time, why not enjoy the fact that you have multiple different routes you can go and use them? I mean, a lot of people kind of were like, oh, Gears Tactics, but I mean, I've seen so many people that enjoy that. Have I played it yet? No, but I mean, I see the quality, the value, and it's a totally different game technically. You play it totally different, and it can really grab people. And I feel like they can do that more and more. And I feel like the open world parts of Gears 5
I loved it.
could have been
Loved it.
great. Well, for me, I didn't love them, but I felt like they could have been great. Like really, truly spectacular. Besides just the visuals, I felt like it was kind of an empty open world, in my opinion. At the same time, so many people enjoyed that fact. And I don't understand how Gears 5 gets shit on so much. They pushed a lot of different things on people that you never felt before. You killing your own uncle in that game? Come on. I mean,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you played as Kate and you weren't playing you were playing by yourself, or you were playing as the first person, which is Kate. You killed your own uncle in that game, and you had no control over it. That was an emotional part for me. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I think they could have pushed on it more, but they didn't. And I feel like these different psychological elements, they can involve in the Gears universe very easily. They clearly did it in this game. It may not be the gem of everybody's life, including myself, but it definitely made me rethink how they are using Gears.
Dude, I don't think you could put it any better. I mean, again, great point, and I'm glad you jumped on because perfect timing. You were here for the Gears segment, right along with Noof, who's also a big supporter of the brand. I do want to get our regular panel members into the conversation, but before I do, let me thank some of the people that dropped some super chats. First of all, Wilbo Gaggins. I always laugh when I say that. He says this after dropping a very generous $2 super chat. It's good to have you back. Boom. Happy New Year. Well, dude, it's great to be back. And of course, hearing comments of that, like that, and the support through super chat is always, again, humbling, and it makes me understand why I want to do this on a weekly basis, not as a livelihood, folks. I'm retired, so it's not my livelihood, but it is something. It's my passion, and putting out this content weekly is something I love doing. Hanging out with these incredible content creators that I have on the panel, and of course the community at large, is why I do it. So I'm glad that people are enjoying it. Thank you again, Wilbo. Definitely appreciate it. Bounty Boom drops an additional outstanding $2 super chat and says, great show. Thanks for the time and opinions. Well, thank you, Bounty Boom, for always supporting the channel and being here. And Spooky Sprocket Gaming drops an outstanding and very generous $10 super chat and says, I want Gear 6 to have the Mystic Island setting from Hivebusters. I also want Gear 6 to be the last. I would love to see what the Coalition can do if given a chance to make a completely new IP. Listen, and you know something? I hear your point. I don't think we're ever going to see the end of Gears. And I would be very saddened if that happened. I would like them to bring us. Someone had said it in the chat. I'm so sorry if you throw it back in the chat. I'll read it out there. Someone had made mention of Gears releasing an ODST type, and I've talked about this. I would love. I don't know how many people would appreciate this. I would love a side story with the Carmine family. Like, I would actually like to learn more. I mean, obviously it's a joke now, but I would love to have a game like ODST with one of the Carmine family that you have to get to across the world or wherever, to where the rest of your family or the other Gears are, and just be you versus the world. I think that it could be done in a way that would almost be survival horror-esque, kind of like, I'm not saying make it like Resident Evil 2. I'm just saying that it could be you versus the world, and because of that, because you were scrounging around for weapons because you were going from point to point and you didn't know what you were going up against, it would be that horror element that we saw in 1, 2, and 3 that people have been asking for. That's what I personally would like. We also have a super chat that came in from Victor Alexstein. Victor, welcome. Happy New Year. He says this after dropping a $5 super chat. I agree with Noof. The series is tired unless they make each new iteration new with new characters and story like FF or the GTA series. I mean, look, again, it seems, and Victor, I first of all, I appreciate the support, and I understand a lot of people like yourself believe that it's a little long in the tooth. I disagree. I think that if it's the same old Gears, then yes, then it's boring and they need change. But I think that with it's 4 didn't hit with everyone, but man, 5 was so goddamn good. If you missed out on it, man, you definitely got to play it. And if you missed out on Hive Busters, my God, what are you waiting for? But let's get to Mag on this. Mag, listen, obviously you've heard everyone's opinion about it, but I'm interested to know yours. First of all, what are your thoughts on what you want from Gears 6? And more importantly, do you want to see the talented crew at the Coalition try something new with a new IP?
I'm kind of torn on this because, oh, by the way, hi, Noof and Crispy. I didn't even get the chance to say hello to you, gentlemen.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on? So, yeah. So, anyways, I'm kind of torn on this because I'm thinking about the Coalition, and you're like, okay, what is it? 500 people you said working there?
That's 500. Yeah, 500 plus.
Okay, 500 plus. That's a lot of people to pour into one franchise without getting at some point fatigued. You know what I mean? And I don't mean the team getting fatigued. I'm talking about the fans, right? Because if you start cranking out, I know, Noof was talking about Assassin's Creed and stuff, but the fans are like, oh my God, a Gears again, a Gears again, a Gears again, a Gears again. Let's say 4 or 5 years down the road. And then people start really getting fatigued from it. They're going to be like, you know what? Enough already. So what I'm thinking they're going to do is I think they may split off maybe a little sub team, a little smaller team. You have the main team working on a Gears franchise. Keep them going. Unfortunately, because the production costs and everything have gone way up, and I think it takes a long time to make these games now, you're still going to look at a mainstream Gears game once every 4 or 5 years. I think that's just going to be the standard from here on out. And what they could do is that they do what they just did with Hive Busters. You release little DLCs here and there, little story beats, little offshoots here and there. And you do that. Now, on top of that, they may have another team that's willing to maybe experiment with a new IP. I mean, these guys aren't just sitting there going, they're not Gears drones. These are human beings. Like the guy goes to lunch and he goes, hey, Gary, you know what? I got this great idea for a new game. You know what I'm saying? So, bring it to the boss.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They're not just sitting there. They don't plug in, they don't put a wire into their neck like a Cyberpunk and they sit down and go, Gears. These guys are human beings. The guys and gals are human beings. They probably got all these ideas. These are artistic people. So they're probably sitting there going, hey, when we're done with Gears 6, we got this other cool idea we just want to throw on your table. Just take a look at it, see what you think. And then they pass it on. Maybe it gets somewhere, right? So you never know. I mean, with that many people in a studio, you can't just be working on one franchise. That's just my personal opinion. Yes, you could still do the Gears. Maybe you could do 400 people can work on Gears. And then everybody else could be working on another project. The other good thing is that you've got Game Pass. So now you can experiment a little bit with these other
True.
Right? So let's say 4 or 5 years down the road, when you do have Gears 6 coming out eventually, let's say 2024, just for argument's sake, right? And then you have another franchise that they can kind of throw out there in Game Pass. Game Pass, by that point, might have 40, 50 million people in there already.
Yeah, that's true.
Wait till you get that Elder Scrolls 6 in there. And those other big titles, right? The Doom 3s, the new, I was about to say Noof Nukem. Go to Game Pass, everybody. What the hell is it called? Wolfenstein.
Thinking Fallout 76.
Right.
It's Fallout whatever, Fallout 5.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Be up to 40, 50 million people. That's a great testing ground to put out a new IP, right? To start something new, give it a shot. There's not as much risk involved when it's all under the same umbrella. I mean, there's always risk. It's always money, but not as much. They don't have to print it, stick it in the store, and go, I hope people buy this. And then let's say nothing happens of it, and then they lose money. At least it's under that Game Pass umbrella, right? So the revenue is going to keep coming in. Now, as for Gears 6, again, this is tough because I don't know which way to go. I feel, and this is my personal opinion, I'm starting to feel that Gears 4, 5, and 6, let's call it the sequel trilogy, to me has the same vibe as the Star Wars.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Now, I can't shake that feeling. I can't shake the feeling that I feel that their story beats and the where it's going and how they're doing it. I'm not talking about the quality of the game. I'm talking about where the story's going, how it's going, how people are connecting to it. I think a lot of people are connecting to the sequel trilogy of Gears only because of Gears 1, 2, and 3. Because of our incredible memories with those first 3 games, which were stellar games. And by the way, another little side thought, and this is why I thought this game was so damn good, is that I feel that Gears of War Judgment was kind of the Rogue One. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
God, I know.
Stop it, Christy. I loved Gears of War Judgment. I loved it. I thought it was a great story.
I quite enjoyed it myself. I know a lot of people are going to boo me for this, but I'm not saying it was the best Gears, but I thought I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I didn't. It was the best, but I mean, I enjoyed the story. I kind of like that whole like trial thing that they had going on, and then they had like the little flashbacks and stuff, and you were playing this and that. I thought it was interesting, you know. So to me, that was kind of like the Rogue One. Gears 4, 5, and 6 is starting to feel like Star Wars Episode 7, 8, and 9, where they're so bogged down with the legacy of Gears that they feel the pressure of, oh man, we gotta move this story in this direction, and there's only so much you can move it because of the legacy of the ones before, right? And you're trying to wrap this story around, you know. And I know that there's new characters in there, and another similarity. You look at Kate and the other 2 guys. I always forget their bloody names, and they're kind of like Ray, Poe, and Finn. It's almost the same idea. I almost feel like it's the same thing. I can't shake that feeling that maybe that legacy of Gears is kind of weighing on these guys, and now they're kind of stuck in the situation.
I'm going to bring this up real quick.
Yeah.
Do you almost feel like, even like for Star Wars and for this, that there should have been more characters that were from the old guard killed off? Like, I feel like that has almost ruined the new generation. Like,
this is what I'm getting at, dude.
Point. Yeah, okay.
What I'm getting at is that they're being weighed down by the legacy, right?
What? Was my damn tomatoes not enough for you guys?
Nobody wanted to see Han Solo die. Spoiler alert. But I mean, at the same time, if you want to move these characters into a way different direction, the problem is they were weighed down by the Skywalker saga. Same thing with Gears. You're weighed down by the whole Marcus Phoenix situation, this and that, and he's there, which is great. It was nice to see him, and and everything else. But like, that's and then all of a sudden, Hivebusters came out, and then I played it, and I'm like, okay, I played Gears 5. I loved it. I thought it was a great game. I played the campaign. Multiplayer, I suck. Okay, I suck at the multiplayer. I just don't get the movement. I just can't do it. I don't know what the hell it is. Anyways. That's fine, but the story was great. A little long for me. I just found like it was dragging on. It almost feel like there was a lot of filler in there, like they were doing it on purpose, trying to make it bigger than it was. And I'm like, guys, you could have tightened this up a little bit and made it like a little bit of a more cohesive story. Just, again, personal opinion. Anyways, then Hivebusters came out. And then, of course, our own panel member, Cyber, hits me up. And so Cybernox and we played it one night, and we played the whole damn thing, and we 100%ed it. All collectibles, all everything, 100% of the Hivebusters DLC without even standing up, without even getting up to go pee, without even getting up to go get anything. We played the whole thing because it was so good. And right from the first beat, okay, of that DLC, and first of all, they shouldn't market it as a DLC. Just call it Hivebusters. You know what I'm saying? Just call it Hivebusters. Leave it alone. Market it as they would have. Well, don't market it like Miles Morales, but I mean, market it as its own thing. Make it a system seller. You've got something that is so gorgeous, and it plays so well, and
it really does put the console through its paces.
Exactly. And you know what I really enjoyed about it, which I enjoyed more in Hivebusters than I did in Gears 4 and 5, is the conversation, not the banter, like the conversation. The story, I really enjoyed it. I felt more emotionally attached to this than I did to Kate. It's got nothing to do with just. It's not that I didn't enjoy Kate's story. I do so far, but for some reason, that story, this Hivebuster story, just seemed better. And even when they slapped the Hivebusters thing on the screen, it almost came across to me like a Grindhouse film. You know what I mean? Like Planet Terror. You know, that kind of thing. It just went Hivebusters, like right across the screen.
Yeah.
You know, kicks the dude out the plane. You know what I mean? They had a few laughs and this and that, whatever. And then, of course, you know, the Scottish guy's story. I'm not going to spoil that, but the Scottish guy's little story as he's talking about later on about his personal experience with what was happening and the reason why he got into this whole situation. I thought it was magnificent.
Yeah, it really, I tell you, it was great. I don't want to ruin anything for you. Again, please play the Hivebusters. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and I thought it was a fantastic again add-on, but I just kind of liked the direction. It felt so fresh. It felt so apart from the numbered series, so to speak. And I just that's if they were able to go that direction with a Gear 6, I would say go for it. Just go for it. Shoot for the fences. You know what I'm saying? Just go for it and do it. But I have a feeling they can't. And again, this all boils down to that whole legacy story situation. They're going to have to wrap up this whole 6-part, story. And I have a feeling that they've kind of painted themselves in a corner a little bit when it comes to that story. I agree with Noof. They should go to different planets, different areas, different enemies, different locales. Like give us some, and that's what Hivebusters did. They gave us the tropical, they gave us the volcano stuff, they gave us the lava stuff, they gave us great set pieces. I loved that game. But anyways, as for the future of Gears, all we could do is sit here and talk about it, and then all we could do is sit here and wait.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm sure they're listening. There's no doubt about it. They definitely like to take fan feedback. Crispy knows that more than anybody. But look, I'll say this as we bring in Tempest Sun to close out the show. Look, the question that I really have, and this is really not meant to lengthen the show in any way, the Star Wars sequel trilogy, past the first film, I enjoyed the first film. I enjoyed Episode 7. A lot of people were like, yeah, it's too cookie cutter. It's too much like the first one or Episode 4. And I'm okay with that. I absolutely loathed the other two, 8 and 9. I thought they were just terrible pieces of cinema. So my question, and again, this is a general question that, so much for the chat. Maybe we can revisit this on a later episode, is who is going to be the Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau of the Gears franchise to move it into what we love about the classic Star Wars, but give us something new. I don't know. I don't know the team at the Coalition that well enough to make that comment or even respond to my own question. But I think that you're onto something where they have to finish this trilogy. They can't just up and change everything. They have to finish the story. We already know what's going to happen, and potentially, Kate could potentially be the antagonist. In the last, we don't know, but it's going to be very interesting. Before we get to Tempest Sun, I have to thank two people, one of which is a panel member. First of all, Cloud Practitioner drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Greetings, Boomin' panel and fellas in the chat." Well, greetings to you, brother. Thank you. And of course, Infinite AA, who is a panel member, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Gears horror spin-off game, new characters stuck in a hive and trying to escape." Yeah, I'm still, listen, no one's going to listen to me. I'm just a small podcaster with 7,000 subs, but I want the ODST Carmine type of game. That's what I want him to the world. I think that would be a good seller. It would give us the horror element. I'm not saying I want it to be Resident Evil Gears, but I'm saying that you really use the him versus the world to get to point from A to Z and he'd just be up against horrific odds. It would be a side story. It could be its own game, and it would be incredible. It would bring us back to the horror feel that you felt with the Gears 1, 2, and 3. But Tempest Son, let's get to you. The two questions here as we close out this incredible first show of the year for Primetime Gaming is, what do you want Gears 6 to look like? And more importantly, do you want to see the Coalition work on a new IP already?
First off, the new IP thing. This is the pipe dream. There's about a 0.5% chance this will happen, but I don't know why. I've had this stuck in my head forever. The one thing I would want them to make is a Punisher game. Frank Castle.
God, yes,
I think they could do it better than anybody ever could do it. Yeah, that's because I could picture Frank Castle killing the locusts and stuff. I could just picture it, or the swarm. So I don't know. Never gonna happen, but I think that would be really cool. As far as what I want Gears 6 to be, I don't know, man. I've really enjoyed Gears 5. I, just like Crispy Bomb, thought the open world aspect was a little empty. I mean, this is a alien planet. This isn't Earth, like Crispy said. Where's the giant monsters, creatures roaming around? Have some patrols of the swarm. Have patrols of swarm getting attacked by those creatures, anything to make it dynamic. They can go that route. What I kind of want them, it feels like Gears 5 was kind of stuck in between of not knowing what it wanted to be a little bit. But Hivebusters comes out and takes it back to formula, back to the old, Gears 1 through 3 formula, just tight corridors. They put you in an area, you fight your way through it, and everybody loves Hivebusters. So at this point, I don't know what they're going to do. I feel like whatever route they take, they just need to stick to that route and just perfect it. If you're going to go tight corridors, make sure every single mission level has a tremendous set piece that wows you, and just go that route. Just go the old school Gears route. If they want to do the open world route, make it open world, make the map dynamic, make it full of life, and do that type of thing. I mean, there were some stealth sections. I mean, not everybody wants to go and play Gears stealth wise, but I thought they were done decently well. I mean, maybe expand upon that, but I want them to finish Kate's story. Listen, Rod had some balls, man. They let you choose. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to say who dies because some people still haven't played it yet, but they let you pick who dies, which is bizarre for a Gears game, right? And yeah, at one point you were forced to kill your own uncle. So, I mean, it's a heavy game, deep game. And I even think the story was phenomenal. I think the second chapter in that game, retroactively made Gears 3 better because it explained why there was an off switch. When we played through Gears 3, everybody was like, why is there just an off switch to kill all the bad guys? Well, they explained it, which I thought was great. I don't know. Whatever direction they choose to make or take it, I'll be cool with. I really want Gears 6. What I will say is, though, I feel like Rod Ferguson was the guy they needed to jumpstart this franchise again.
Oh, no doubt about that. Yeah.
But what I will say is Gears 5 had problems. And from everything I understand, from not a person that plays it every day, but everything I understand is as soon as Rod left, the problems went away. And all of a sudden, Hivebusters comes out, not under Rod, and everybody loves Hivebusters. So, instead of maybe looking for somebody new to take over the franchise, like who's going to be the Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, maybe it's the people that are there in charge right now who gave us Hivebusters. Let's see what they can do. That's my take on it.
No, I mean, listen. Again, this is just from backdoor channels that we've heard. This isn't coming from anyone inside of the coalition. From what we're hearing, from what I have read, again unofficially, that when Rod left the coalition to go work on Diablo 4. A lot of the restraints that he had as a director of the studio were removed. Now, whether or not there is truth to that, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there is or there isn't. I don't know. I'm reading the same thing that many people in this chat have read on forums. But you're on to something.
I will tell you, Boom, you are on to something.
Okay,
that's where and I'll be honest with you, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. As soon as Rod left, I said, "You watch what happens." And I've said this. I do believe it was on BWB. Could have been on Next. I've said this many times, and I was sitting on an island, being that gearhead, and I said, Rod, it was done a while ago. It's just, if you follow him on Twitter or anything, he was done a while ago. Okay, he has had enough of the franchise. You understand? Like, finally, he can't mentally, get into, a Gears of War player's head. And that's something that just becomes, a problem for, a creator. It's like, finally you hit that wall where you think you're doing the right thing, but it really wasn't. And Hivebusters is the perfect example of why I kept saying, if you started with Act 1 and didn't add any open world and went all the way to Act 4 and went through that whole game without any open world, I think more people would have been happy. It would have got a higher score. All that BS with meta and everything else. I feel like people were really looking for that because it was a really good showpiece for the 1X especially. And it's sad that, it got kind of thrown to the curb, as I like to call it.
I have one more point, if I may.
Please, by all means, go ahead.
Listen, I almost feel like everybody wanted Gears 5 to make a difference and change for a reason. And it was that bull crap thing. They never say it for the other platforms. Oh, it's just Zelda, Mario, and whatever.
Yeah, you're right.
Else,
Lucas actually said that. The Xbox is the only one that can't do sequels. Yeah,
right. Exactly. I feel like that's the reason why people wanted Gears to change so much, is just because, oh, it's just Halo, Gears, Forza, as if Gears had to change because it's just Halo, Gears, Forza. Gears should be Gears, right? And if it is the 5th iteration, yeah, make some changes, sure, right? But I feel like Gears really can go back to just being Gears, and nobody's going to care because there's like 23 teams or studios right now with like a total of, I think, 32 teams
35,
making games. 35 teams making games. Nobody is going to care if Gears is just more Gears when you have so many other games coming out. They're just not going to care. As a matter of fact, Gears just being Gears might be a breath of fresh air, because I mean, let's be honest, how many teams and or studios are making colossal RPGs? You know what I'm saying?
That's a great point, dude. Yeah.
So if anything, I think they have creative liberties to just go back to being the good old fashioned chapter 1 through 6, do it, make it bombastic, set pieces. Like I said, that's the only thing I think Gears needs, is it needs to pick a route and go to it. Because I think the biggest thing people had an issue with was Gears 5 was kind of like this in between kind of, had some RPG elements, some open world, but it was kind of a master at none. Well, let's be honest, it was still a master at the cover-based shooting. They do it the best, but you get what I'm talking about. I think they just need to pick their lane and go down it. So,
I mean, listen, everyone had fantastic points. What could you say? Again, this is a great way to close out the first episode of the year. Obviously, you can tell by there are a lot of passionate people. Let's just say that, and I use the word loosely, passionate people giving their opinions. And listen, no one's opinion is wrong. That's your opinion. If that's how you feel, hey, listen, I'm not going to argue with you. I don't want Gears not to be Gears. I'm going to be the first one to tell you, and I got a chance to meet Rod at last year's E3. Got a chance to talk to him for about 5 minutes or so. Took a picture with him and his team. Great dude. And I remember saying, "Hey, you made it open world," and he laughed. He goes, "Nah, it's not really open world, but you'll see." And listen, I know a lot of people didn't like that. For me, I'm not saying Gears 6 needs to be God of War, whatever, or Horizon. No, it can be those tight corridors. But I am in the camp where I would like a more open world to appreciate the Gears universe. I will say that, again, if you have not played Hivebusters, it's something that you need to play, whether you play it solo, with your brother, your sister, or 3 of your buddies, or for a total of you and your 2 of your buddies, you're going to have a blast. There's no doubt about it. It is honestly some of the best content for Gears that has released in probably since I think like you were saying the General Ram DLC. It's
Ram Shadow,
Ram
yeah.
Shadow. This is top notch, and what is even more impressive is that if you're playing on your Series X and you have the TV to match, your jaw will be on the floor. Like Crispy said, what they're going to be doing with Unreal Engine 5 in Gear 6, because I mean that's not confirmed, but we can just assume that's what's going to happen. My God, is it going to be absolutely astounding to not only play but to look at, and it's going to be a AAA banger that has the chops. But folks, this has been, again, a great opening act for 2021. If you enjoyed the content, I really would appreciate, before you get on out of here, you do hit the like button. You don't understand that the likes do help me navigate the analytics when it comes to getting more eyes and ears on this show. The only way I can do that is with your help. If you're enjoying it, hit the like button. Listen, if you're not enjoying it, what am I going to do? You're going to hit the thumbs down button and you tell me to go F off. That's fine too. But let's get to the outros, and we're going to start with our guests. And we have quite a few of them. Infinite AA, first of all, thank you so much for being here, dude. Hopefully you enjoyed your time here, and you can take some of the knowledge you got from tonight's show onto your own program with your brother. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, check out your show.
Well, thanks for having me on. The topics were awesome. We all had something nice to say about just our opinions, and opinions are opinions. People don't need to get mad about them. I mean, Nukem obviously has some awesome opinions, and so does Crispy Bomb is all about the Gears franchise, so I know he's passionate about this. Anyways, you can find me at Infinite AA117 on Twitter. You can find me at Infinite A Gaming on YouTube, and me and my blood brother, we do a podcast, BIA Gamecast on YouTube. It stands for Brothers in Arms Gamecast, and we also have a Twitter account at BIA Gamecast. Thanks.
Well, thanks for being here, brother, and definitely check out your show. You're going to be doing some big things in 2021 with your brother, and we look forward to hearing more, and we're definitely going to get you back on this program for sure. Next up, Nukem, thank you for jumping in, not only in the chat, but jumping on and giving us your big opinions on one of your favorite day one titles, Gears of War. Tell everyone not only about where they could reach out to you, potentially get a dildo joke thrown at them on social media, but also check out your, let's say, salty kind of a podcast you have on not Tuesday evenings anymore. It's Wednesdays, right?
Not Tuesdays.
It's still Tuesdays evenings, Gaming After Dark. It's a great program. It's a program for adults. He has some big voices, one of which that happens to be on this panel. Tell everyone about that, my friend.
Sure. Well, first of all, like I said, guys, it is opinions, and sometimes I can get a little bit worked up.
We love that about you, brother.
The chat is awesome, and I mean no disrespect anywhere, but nothing's wrong. Nothing I hate more than when you have an opinion and some guys completely tell you wrong. Again, it's an opinion, and look, I'll fully admit I'm not the most versed in Halo. I'm not the most versed in Gears. I can't tell you every character's name. I can't remember all the planets. I got the shittiest memory in the world. The only thing I do remember is I remember playing the games. I have played them all. You can check out my gamer scores. I played them all. I've beaten them all. I haven't platinum everyone or whatever. You're got the full trophies in everyone, that sort of thing. A lot of them are tied to multiplayer, and I just never played the multiplayer extensively. But I mean, I love Gears, and I can tell you this right now, and this is a fact, not an opinion. The biggest reason I own an Xbox today, the biggest reason I'm still a gamer, or perhaps even podcasting at this point, is because of Gears of War in 2006. I was at a crappy place in my life where I really was literally a fraction short of saying I'm done with gaming. I'm out of this stuff for good. I was and I don't want to get into it because it would take too long. But I was to that point where I was ready to give up on gaming, and if it wasn't for Gears, I would not be gaming today, and that is a fact. Even Clip Blazinski liked my tweet on that the other night because I thanked him for it, and he actually really liked my tweet on that. I said, thank you for bringing out that franchise, because without it, I wouldn't be gaming today. And it's a big reason why I always gravitate to Xbox first, because it's the only platform that has that franchise. I love it to death. I mean, I got a lot of merchandise here, not as much as some. I get it. You know, I'm like I said, I'm not going to go out and try to compete with someone who's got, you know, every shirt and every hat and every gun and every character and every book and it. You know, I'm not that kind of, you know, fan where I just constant. But I love Gears, and I think you guys can tell that. It's just my opinions. I love where the franchise is. I love where it's heading. I have full confidence in the coalition. You know, I love High Busters. It was the biggest surprise of the year to me. I said it on my last podcast because it came out of nowhere. I had no idea we were getting Gears 5 DLC before Christmas. And, you know, good on Microsoft. They could have charged you $80 for that game, but they didn't. They put it as free if you got Game Pass or whatever it was, or you got the Game Pass Ultimate. I didn't pay a fortune for it. I forget how much I actually paid for it. I think it was like $25 or something Canadian, but it was worth every penny. You know, and it was amazing because it came out of nowhere and it looks absolutely dynamite on Series X. But anyway, I'll get to my intro. Just want to say, chat is awesome. Love you guys. You know, all that stuff. But anyway, gaming after dark Tuesday nights. We won't be back this week. We're bringing our show back the following week. Me, Mag, and Titan. We got to discuss a few things where we want our podcast to go this year. But I appreciate you guys. And you know, come on over and check out the show, like I said, Tuesday nights. And don't forget the community game nights. Follow me on Twitter, especially because I'm always popping when we're going to play, what games we're going to play, and I love to hear suggestions from the community as well on what games you'd like to see as part of community game night. I have found frequently that Call of Duty and various games always seem to get a pretty good crowd, and other ones it's a real struggle. So I'd like to hear more suggestions on that. But that's it for me. Boom. Thanks for the surprise invite. I wasn't expecting that. I was having fun in the chat, but I'm glad I could come in and talk on two topics that I think I had a little bit of input on. But anyway, that's it for me. You guys take care. Again, Happy New Year for those I haven't been able to wish it with yet. And we'll see you soon. And I guess I'll see you guys again on Friday's Breakfast with Boom. And to the panel, guys, awesome having Crispy, Mag, Tempest, Infinite A. Good stuff, guys. Love the feedback. Catch you soon.
Thanks, and brother, super appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing what we're going to be talking about on. In fact, as a matter of fact, if you're an Xbox fan, don't forget to tune in to Breakfast with Boom. We're going to be talking about the future of Xbox and that the drought of their first party is nearly over, and what is coming in 2021 is going to blow your mind. Next up, we're going to go with our other guest, Crispy Bomb. Thank you for jumping in. And like I said, literally perfect timing. You got in here during the Gears 5 or the Gears 6 topic. Thanks so much for being here. Obviously, you will not be joining us on this Friday. You'll be back the following Friday. But of course, tell everyone about what other shows you're on, and more importantly, where could people reach out to you for a conversation on social media?
And this is why I love this community. This is why I love being, you know, at least in the realm of Boom, as I like to say. You know, he threw the invite out there. I fell asleep for a little bit. You know, I've been up since 3:00 in the morning. You know, shame on me. No, just joking about that. But you know, and I jump in right when Gears is happening because
perfect timing, dude.
And it's really like, and a lot of people ignore this. Like, if once you get involved, and especially a lot of you don't understand this, but once you get involved in the multiplayer Gears community, it becomes like this second family that it's like, I'm not the best player out of all the players I play with, but they always try to lift me up and they always try to make me, you know, as best as I can be, or, you know, just help me. And that's kind of what I feel about this Xbox community to this day. Like, Gears is just like Noof feels, I feel about Gears. I don't think I would be an Xbox player. I don't even know if I'd be gaming right now if it wasn't for Gears. And that means something to me. And I want them to do the greatest they possibly can. And I'm so happy people are enjoying this DLC. I mean, I'm enamored to the fact that, you know, like, these huge people that have been a staple of Gears for years left, and they created what people are calling one of the greatest DLCs they ever played.
Yep.
And that's just awesome. And that speaks to, you know, Game Pass. That speaks to Microsoft giving them the ability to do this. And kind of letting them have their own reigns. And I feel like that's why I love Phil so much, because, you know, Xbox, I feel, has like there's no bars in between, you know, the words or the games that they put out. It's just put out what you love, and sometimes it just works, and I feel like they're on the right path. But yes, it's at Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. Yes, I will take the time to teach you how to play Gears multiplayer. It is not easy. You are going to hate yourself at times, but once you get into it, once you get some good time into it, you will love that game, and you will understand where like me and Noof and some other people that play some of the multiplayer come from, because it is extremely hard. But once you get decent at it, you're not going to be great. I mean, I know very few people that are great, but you will enjoy. I will take the time. And yes, Breakfast of Boom, I will be on next Friday. This week, next podcast, Thursday. I'm not sure about Retro. We'll find out. I don't know what's going on, but yes, love you all. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thanks, dude. Super appreciate that. And we'll go next to Tempest Son. Tempest, do me a favor, brother. Tell everyone about where they could reach out to you on social media, strike up a conversation, and or potentially get shot in the face by playing with you on Xbox Live, either on your team or against you.
Thank you, Boom. Yeah, good to be here. First show of the year. Starting it off good. Infinite, it was nice to meet you, man. Mag, Newfum, or Nuke Newfum, and Crispy Bomb. Good to see you guys. Yeah, good show. Good opinions. The chat was pretty lively tonight. It definitely was. Yeah, but yeah, let's get out there, play some games, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, brother. Super appreciate that. And last and no way least, the loudest member of the Primetime Gaming family, all the way from Canada. Hey, Mag, brother, tell everyone about where they could reach out to you on social media, potentially strike up a conversation, what other shows you're on, and where they could game with you on the Xbox and PlayStation 5.
Yes, well, you can catch me here every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick XL and friends. And every Tuesday night, not this Tuesday, but starting on the 12th, every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with none other than Noof Nukem and Titan Drago and myself, of course, on Gaming After Dark. And boy, it's going to be a great year for both shows. I'm really excited, guys. You can also follow me on Twitter at The Middle Age Game Guy. That's with a GY at the end. And, of course, on the Xbox and PlayStation, both the same name on both, thank goodness. All word, my goodness, I can't even say it properly. But how about this? All capitals, one word, because I don't know how to be quiet. I am the Mag with 2 G's. You can find me at there. And let me just tell you something else, guys. 2021, there's going to be a lot of surprises coming from the Mag. I got some big things coming, big things I've been sleeping on, I've been sitting on, I've been very quiet about, but I won't be quiet anymore. So stay tuned for an exciting 2021. So everybody, thank you very much. Have a great night. Chat, you were wonderful. Panel, you guys are awesome as always, and we'll see you all next week.
Well, thanks so much for being here, brother. And of course, real quick, super chat came in from our very good friend from Crazy Mate Gaming. Drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. Says Gears can still be close combat quarters, but give me a little more to explore. I want secret paths. Indeed, I'm right there with you, brother. Thanks so much for the super chat and thanks for being here. Oh, CYV Studio drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, I can't believe I missed this one. Happy in the year. Well, happy new year to you as well, brother. And yes, just catch it on the replay. You're going to have a lot to listen to. It's almost 2.5 hour show. But of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dear old dad taught me. And I think now more than ever, we need it. He used to say, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.